Yes, hello, I am James Rowlands, and today it's the WNR327. It's Impact, Hard to Kill. And I have the pleasure to be joined by the Ultimate One. How you doing, mate? You all right?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Taking it by day. I'm going. I'm tired of being home. But there's a lot of wrestling, so that's the good thing. It seems like a lot of these promotions are getting their stuff, back in order. I've still got to get used to the no fans, but I'm catching up on MLW also. I know they started back in December, so I mean, I'm still I get to enjoy myself, going, watching these shows and all these wrestling. So
Well, I
what's up with you though? How's UK? First of all, how's UK, Mister? Because I know the last time we spoke in December, you told me you were on lockdown.
We are in lockdown, and Brexit has happened as well.
Oh, God.
So it basically means in my work, all the stuff we send to Europe, no one has an idea what's going on. So it's all over the place at the moment. It has been a disaster. Like I say, I look at what's happening in America, obviously with what's going on, and at the moment in England and the UK, it is awful. And like I said, if it wasn't for the amount of professional wrestling that we had to watch, and I've actually set myself a challenge this year as well of trying to watch every single bit of wrestling I possibly can.
Yeah, watch MLW though. MLW is right now. I mean, you gotta get used to the no fans or whatever. But I know Leo Rush is back. Leo Rush, was it Leo? Yeah, Leo Rush won the middleweight title from Marion Reed, I think his last name is. You got Leo Rush. You have ACH is in there. A Cold Contra unit is running that. I mean, and I think they added Davari. They used to wrestle in WWE as part of the Contra unit. So, I mean, I know you guys get it out there, and I think it's in Bean Sport. So that's the channel. Now you can see it on YouTube. They got it on YouTube. It's pretty decent. It's not bad. I like MLW.
Well, I think thanks to my Fire Stick, I've managed to see the New Japan, Wrestle Kingdom, both nights this year. Obviously, we've had NXT with the New Year Evils as well. And, of course, everything else that's been going on, of course, with Impact Hard to Kill. And I'm trying to cram in Raw and SmackDown every week alongside, of course, Dynamite, Impact, and NXT UK.
That's a lot of wrestling, buddy.
Well, I was saying,
I don't know if I could sit down and watch Raw. I'm sorry.
Do you know what? I did it last week, and I thought, how have I done this? I was impressed with myself.
Listen, I watched the Raw thing was the last week. It was all right. I just can't deal with 1 minute they doing something right, and the next thing you know, I saw Matt Riddle lost to Bobby Lashley in 3 minutes. I can't. That's not wrestling. To me, that's not wrestling. If you got a guy you pushing to, let's say, mid-card status, right? He's the number one guy, the number one contender to the United States title. A 3-minute match does not make that guy credible after that, So, because he loses to, Bobby Lashley, he's a dominant champion, whatever. But come on, Matt Riddle is better than that, So, and then they call him Riddle now. It's not even Matt. There's no Matt involved.
This is the thing with, of course, McIntyre and at this moment in time as well. I feel Raw is not helping itself.
Oh, no, not at all. Because not only that, but if you look at the ratings that are going on in there now, in today's wrestling fans, the way they think, Raw is bad because of Drew McIntyre. This time you can't put that at the world champion, because the world champion is going to be the world champion, and Drew McIntyre, he'll give you a decent match. But if the rest of the card and the storylines are not good, you can't blame it on the champion. You got to blame it on who's running the show, the bookers or the writers, because there's not even bookers anymore. The writers, they come with these storylines, and then you got Bruce Pritchard and McMahon. They're out of touch, and I think that's what's messing up, Raw. And if you look at SmackDown every week is getting almost 2.1, 2.2 million viewers, and it's better than Raw. Now my question is, these are the two same guys. The two same guys that are running Raw is running SmackDown. So what's the problem? I mean, even though Roman Reigns, because of his change of character right now, and then with Paul Heyman helping him. I think they added Apollo Crew into the group now. It shows you that what's wrong there, because if you got a SmackDown who's giving you 2.2 views a week, but then Raw, who's the flagship show, is giving you 1.5, what's wrong? Somebody's doing something wrong there. So, and this is why I can't watch it, because it's like, and in reality, if you think about it, Roman Reigns is the main guy, the main story out of the whole SmackDown. I mean, though you got Big E, he's doing his thing. He's the new Intercontinental Champion. And now I'm seeing that finally pushing Nakamura again. It's not consistency. And when it's not consistency, that drives away fans.
Well, I think this is to say, because obviously WWE is the kind of the biggest, show out there. And I feel with someone like AEW and Impact that we're going to cover today, they are using what they've got to the best of their abilities, and especially with Impact, we get on with it. It's not a kind of big roster, but everything that they're doing is trying to help the fans enjoy the show more. And I feel with Raw sometimes they do stuff to kind of alienate either the hardcore fan or the general viewer. I mean, if you were just a normal person that didn't watch, I say normal person as in you didn't watch Raw or SmackDown every week and week out, and you turned into it.
Yeah, but
there's not thread to pick upon, is there?
Yeah, it like I said, it's consistency, but while we go through this hard to kill review, there's little stuff that Impact still does that reminds me of WWE, and we'll get to that when we get to that part. But I mean, again, when it comes to WWE, I don't understand that SmackDown. I mean, I think the last 4 or 5 years, SmackDown's been better than Raw. I mean, they went down a little bit, then Raw went up, but I think because of the change of attitude or the change of I guess from babyface to heel, we want to call that now. Roman Reigns is the guy right now. He's carrying that SmackDown brand, And meanwhile, you got Roman Reigns doing all that, but meanwhile NXT is suffering a little bit because they're taking everybody pretty much gutted out NXT and whatnot. And I think they're bringing Rhea Ripley up. And I think Damian Priest also, I think it's supposed to be coming up in the roster, but they gutted out NXT. NXT is not the same anymore. AEW pretty much beats them every week. And I think if NXT does not beat AEW this week in the ratings, then something's wrong, because right now the show that they're doing for AEW this week is not great. It looks like a mini version of AEW Dark, because they got Cody Rhodes supposed to wrestle. I think it's Peter Avalon. Yeah, Peter Avalon is a jobber. So that goes to show you that they probably figure out we'll do this for now to get everybody a break or whatever. But if NXT does not beat AEW this week with that card, then something's wrong. They should be able to beat them this week in ratings.
I think without a doubt. So let's start with the show. Let's talk about there's so much rest focused on today with AEW leading up to, of course, Impact's Hard to Kill. And of course, the last time you joined us was the WNR Awards, the AEW Awards, and we had so much great feedback from that. Just again, thank you for taking part of it. And of course, people loving what we're putting out. And again, and that's the reason now we're going to follow AEW from, of course, where we left off until present day, so to speak.
Yeah, I think the last time we talked, according to what I'm looking here, I think it was somewhere in December, the third week of December 19th, something like that. That was the last time we spoke. After that, as we know, Brodie Lee passed away unexpectedly on December 26th. That caught everybody by surprise. I mean, before that happened, they had the holiday show, and was that the one that? No, it wasn't the Ray Phoenix fight. Well, we saw what happened once Brodie Lee passed away. Now, pretty much this real big storyline going on in AEW right now, besides the fact that Brodie Lee's no longer with us, is the Omega stuff. And the fact that Omega won the world title, and then he brought it to Impact. And then, as we saw in New Year's Smash 1, we saw that the Young Bucks supposedly joined the Good Brothers and Omega as part of, I guess, the reunion of Bullet Club, which right now Tama Tonga is going crazy in Japan right now with all the stuff that he's saying. So right now that led off to what happened to Hard to Kill this week.
Yes.
And I think that's the main storyline AEW right now because of that. And everything else is just right now they pretty much just setting up matches for that Beach Break. I think Beach Break in February 3rd. So they're setting everything up for that event, which is it's going to be on TV anyway. But they're doing something way before Revolution. I mean, according to me, the way I look at it, it looks like the Young Bucks are going to end up wrestling the Good Brothers, champion versus champion.
Well, let's get into all that good action now. We're going to go back to the 30th December, of course, a tribute to Brodie Lee. We see Brodie Lee's wife and children were joined by an entire AEW roster for the 10 bell salute. Then we see a John Moxley promo played. He said he never had a more difficult time coming up with words to say, and that Brodie Lee brought joy to wrestling. Moxley had known Lee from bingo halls to stadiums, but to Lee this was just a job. 2020 has hurt us all, but Lee's past was like a soccer kick to the face. Wrestling isn't sports a community and we support each other. Moxley hopes that Lee inspires us to become a little better, to appreciate what we have, because every day, including a day spent with Lee, is a gift. I love you, brother. I'll never forget you. First off, what were your thoughts on the passing, of course, of Brodie Lee, and what did you think of the Moxley promo? Because it was a really emotional stuff.
Yeah, the Moxley promo pretty much shows you some of these wrestlers when they start, they like Brodie Lee and Moxley came up through the combat zone wrestling and all that, and they fought each other, and now they're in independent shows, but they also wrestled WrestleMania, I think it was 31, one of those. But honestly, I have seen so many wrestlers that has passed away in my lifetime. I think the last one that I got choked up watching was the Owen Hart, 99, and the Eddie Guerrero. Eddie Guerrero was the worst for me because Eddie Guerrero, I followed Eddie Guerrero since 94 when I first saw him at, I think some show between Mexico and WCW back in 94. But this show was so hard to watch. I mean, there was not a tear that ran down my eyes because it was just like the wrestlers were emotional. Just the promos, what everybody said, it hurt a lot because this is a guy where I remember watching him in that that dog collar match with Cody, and I remember seeing his podcast with AEW Unrestricted, and he mentioned something about him being hurt. Little did we know that there was more to that. So I expected him back to AEW because the Dark Order did not look the same without him there because he's like was the big figure. He was the main guy and all that, and it was like that was taken away from us as fans, and it was very emotional. Like I don't know how many times I cried watching.
Well, this is the thing. I think the show, was a perfect thing to do. But like I said, when someone dies, like they're kind of the outpouring of support towards him of being such a great guy as well, And like I said, it's one of these things. We see Chris Jericho join the commentary table, and then we have Colt Cabana, Young Bucks defeating Matt Hardy in Private Party. This was a fantastic emotional opener as expected. Cabana had tears in his eyes during his entrance. Bucks hit Quinn with the Undertaker. Cabana followed it up with Superman for pinning for the 3. And then before the next match, Eddie Kingston took a mic and said, "Brodie, I love you, I miss you." Now let the nicest out the way, he said, "Dark Order is nothing without Lee." And then Dark Order, Stu Gracie, Veluno, Lance Archer defeated Eddie Kingston, the Butcher, and the Blade. This was an excellent hard-fought match, and Lance Archer wore classic Brodie Lee Luke Harper gear with the old tank top and blue jeans. Archer was definitely fire in this matchup, and I have become a fan of Eddie Kingston, but I think that was a lovely tribute to look like Luke Harper in that match.
Yeah, did you? I like what they did. I saw the post-match show with Tony Schiavone, and Lance Archer said it best. Lance Archer said, "I never been part of a promotion that shows a family oriented. Like they really care about the wrestlers. They really care about the family. The whole show was perfect. I mean, and it's funny because I'm watching the match and it's not hitting me that he's dressed like Brodie Lee. So it didn't hit me until he did the thing with where he kisses both of his fingers and goes on the rope. That was the part that I was like, oh shoot, he's dressed like Brodie Lee, and so it was cool. Well, what he said in the post show comment that he feels that he's never been and Lance Archer's been in the business for God knows how many years, and he said he's never seen that in a promotion, and that's what AEW brings. There's a lot of wrestlers that say that it's family oriented. They care about their wrestlers, and I think this is why, they even I think in the Being the Elite they show Eddie Kingston actually talking about as long as we wrestle, his legacy will continue. And Eddie Kingston's promo was off the hook because he said it. He said, as long as his son lives, Brodie is not dead, because he keeps his legacy, So I mean, the whole that match was both matches were great, especially with the Colt Cabana, because Colt Cabana, as soon as he came in the ring, you could tell he was crying. Yeah. It was nice for him to get the pin. That was the best part. Did the Superman pin.
Well, we get the next tribute was about how much Brodie Lee loved his wife and children. It said that Lee and his family were inseparable, and that Lee couldn't wait to get out of Daly's place after work was done. Bryce Remsburg said if there was a Mount Rushmore of wrestling dads, Lee should be on it. And then up next, Dark Order, John Silver and Alex Reynolds and Hangman Page defeated in the circle MJF, Santana and Ortiz. As great as the show had been so far, this was the highlight for me.
Yeah, I agree because that was the one. Not only is John Silver coming out with the outfit that Brodie Lee gave him, because he gave him that, and they were going to use it in one of the BT whatever, but he used it, and then to top it off, he did the spinning discus lariat, and for him to break down the ring, that I couldn't hold my tears in that, because it was just, and then to top it off, the best part was I didn't expect Eric Rowan to be there. Oh, Eric Redbeard. Let's correct that. It's Eric Redbeard.
As Jericho got wrong a couple of times, but it's even the tossing the paper in their face as they would do to them being the elite.
Oh, that was hilarious. Yeah.
We see, of course, -1 Brodie Lee's son at ringside as well. This is a great match. Silver looked awesome. Good teaming by the inner circle with the official distracted. Wardlow attacked Reynolds with a clothesline. So Eric Redbeard, of course, like we said, Eric Rowan. Ran out to send Wardlow packing. What a wonderful moment that was. Dark Order hit included by buckshot lariat from Page, but MJF put Ortiz's foot in the rope. MJF pulled out the mask of -1, who subsequently hit him with the kendo stick again. Another fantastic moment. Silver then posed like Lee, landed discus forearm and pinned Ortiz. And like I said, everybody lost it at the end. And then Redbeard came down with a sign that read, "Goodbye for now, my brother. See you down the road." It really does hit home with shit like that,
Yeah, it hit home because that's something that wrestlers were saying, that when he used to leave to go to see his wife and his kids, he would say that, goodbye forever, I'll see you down the road. And because he wanted the time that he spent with his kids last forever, but he had a job to do. He had to come, travel, whatever. But, that was one of the most emotional part. It was that part. It was that part when that match really, really was a tear gusher, should we say. So,
without a doubt. So. Then we had Anna Jay and Tay Conte defeating Britt Baker and Penelope Ford after catching the moveset. Jay locked on the Queenslayer sleeper as Conte dispatched Baker and Reba, forcing Ford to tap. I think there is something missing with the woman, but at the moment we won't go there because this is a Brodie Lee tribute. And of course, Jay and Conte were very emotional. Tony Schiavone interviewed Baker, who said that the whole thing was rigged, almost like a big rig, one of Brodie Lee's names on the indie, with the Dark Order winning every match. Rose and then attacked. And then our main event was Preston 10 Vance, Cody Rhodes and Orange Cassidy defeating Team Taz, Cage Starks and Powerhouse Hobb. This match features the favourite wrestlers of -1, was billed as one night only. Bryce Remsburg, very emotional early on the show, was the official for this match. As the crowd chanted 10, Taz grabbed a chair but was met with Arn Anderson, who had a chair of his own. Cassidy hit the orange punch, Cody hit crossroads, and 10 hit spinebuster as Remsburg counted 3. It was a clean sweep for the Dark Order, winning all 5 matches. The winning team, especially 10, was emotional after the match, but Team Taz attacked. The lights went out, Darby Allin appeared, but the lights went out again, and Allin was flanked by Sting. With the odd even, Team Taz was forced to retreat. Again, building upon the kind of friendship between Sting and Darby Allin now. But I think Team Taz and Taz in that role was playing it really, really well at this moment in time.
Yeah. I mean, they had to do it that way because you want the heroes to stand tall. I mean, And Team Taz right now, I think that's the group right now is making a lot of noise as far as faction is concerned. But it was great. It was a great show. I mean, and I mean, I'm sure you're gonna bring it up for what it did with the title, but it was a great show. It was. I mean, I saw it twice. I saw it Wednesday night, and then I saw it the next day. So.
Well, we had, like I said, the Brodie Lee Celebration live, and Cody Rhodes was alone in the ring, very emotional. He said, "Isolate Brodie Lee." He quoted Samuel Johnson saying, "You can judge a man's character by how he treats somebody who could do him no good." He talked about all the stories we heard over the past few days of people who have been positively affected by Brodie Lee. And then Brodie Lee Jr., -1, full entrance and all, came out with his mother, pressed advance of Tony Khan. He took his father boots and placed them in the centre of the ring. Cody draped a purple cloth over him. Khan said Brodie Lee was the greatest TNT champion of all time and presented -1 with his own belt, calling him the TNT champion for life. A tribute for Brodie Lee played. There was footage from way early in his career and all about his AEW tenure, as well as plenty of photos closed with in memory of John Hoover. Brodie Lee, 1979 to 2020. Chris Jericho said on commentary that 10 main eventers felt like being in heaven. Well, he isn't, but we know where Brodie Lee is. Like I said, what an episode that was.
Yes, it was a great episode. It shows you that the guy was a family man. He loved the business, but he loved his family more. You know, and you don't see a lot of wrestlers like that nowadays. A lot of wrestlers. I've read documentary. Not documentary. I read books. I've seen documentary where wrestlers get so into the business that they lose track. You know, because they want to hang out with the boys after the matches and all that. But Brodie Lee he just, once his match was over, he already had his stuff packed. He was leaving. He wanted to be around his kids and his wife. And, you know, you can't ask for anything better. I mean, he's sorely going to be missed. I mean, Dark Order does not look the same. And now the question is, who's going to be the leader? Who's going to be running it? And, you know, it's a big void. That's a big loss for AEW.
Without a shadow of a doubt. And WWE did release the Celebrating the Life of Luke Harper, which on the next episode of WNR we're going to have a look at. It's his NXT and WWE career, obviously from his debut in the Wyatt family to his last match. But we're for January. It's the first Impact of the year. And after a seething promo recounting the beating Kenny Omega and the Good Brothers from 3 weeks ago, Impact World Champion Rich Swann and the Motor City Machine Guns made their way to the parking lot to confront the hard-to-kill opponents. The Hills got the jump on them low, attacking and leaving them lying to build heat for the pay-per-view main event. So yet again, AEW has the last laugh over Impact.
Yeah, but can we say that though? Because now the Good Brothers, they Impact World Champions. So it's more of, I don't even think they care about the promotion. They just want to beat up anybody. They just Omega's trying to prove to everybody he's the best there is, and he's gonna be the Infinity Gauntlet, the belt collector, and Gallows and Anderson are just his hitmans.
Well, we'll move on to the 6th of January. It's New Year's Smash Night 1, and Chris Jericho joins the announced team again. We kick off with an 8-man tag team match. It's AEW World Tag Team Champions Young Bucks and SCU versus Hybrid Anthony Bowens and Platinum Max Keister. It's Wednesday night, you know what that means, said JR as he welcomed viewers to the very first Dynamite of 2021. The match broke down into a brawl right from the get-go. The Bucks took down Jack Evans. Evans attempted a 630 senton, but Nick managed to get his knees up in time. They were looking for the Meltzer driver, but Evans bridged out with some interference, scored a near fall. Christopher Daniels executed his best moonsault ever as Matt Jackson dropped Evans with a Meltzer driver. The two teams worked together flawlessly. Jackson to pin Jack Evans, and post-match, SCU told the Bucks that they had their backs anytime they needed, except for a night when the Bucks' belt was on the line against them. And they also said that the first time they would lose, next time they lose as a tag team, they would split up. What are your thoughts on that opening segment?
What do you mean, the match itself?
Just over with SCU, what do you think of them as kind of a tag team? And do you think this is they're going for the last run now, aren't they?
I think they're doing the last run, and I think the reason they're doing that because I think Christopher Daniels is like 52 years old. This guy is he probably wants to hang it up right now. I mean, it was nice seeing them team up with the Young Bucks. The only problem I have with this match is the Acclaim. I think they pushed the Acclaim too fast. They should have given them more time on AEW Dark. Yes, they were, I think, 8-1. They were like undefeated for like 8 weeks. But here's the problem I have with this. you got a team like what's it, TH2? Yeah, TH2. That team should be pushed much better than what they're being pushed now in AEW. Because if you remember, Angelico, he wrestled Lucha Underground for I think for a couple of years. He's a great technician. He's a master of leg locks and all kinds of submission moves. Jack Evans is a great high flyer. But now you mix them up there with the Acclaim. The Acclaim is still too green to me. I mean, these guys are not. They're pretty good. I think they're not they should have been ranked number 5 at all. I think Top Flight is a little bit better than them. But they got more, I guess, high flying skill, whatever. I just don't like. I don't know. It's that match. I don't think why they even put that as far as for 8-man tag. Again, SCU, I see them breaking up. I think somewhere down the line they're gonna lose to someone, and we could even see Christopher Daniels going at it with Kazarian, and probably in a loser leaves wrestling match, retirement match. I could see that happening. That's a better way to go. Let them go out, not lose a match, and now they're not teaming up no more.
Well, this is the thing. To say there's loads of great teams in AEW would be an understatement as well. You can see it from the kind of opening match here. I felt sorry for NXT with the Dusty Cup trying to scramble to get 16 teams together, when in AEW that would be easy. But then maybe sometimes having too many teams, like you said, spoils it, because they might put another team ahead of one that we think they're not quite ready yet. But Jericho on commentary is a joy, and obviously he's got a job when he retires. And then next was the return of Jon Moxley, and Excalibur noted that it was weird to see Moxley without the AEW title in his hand, which is bang on. And he said, "You may expect me to come out here tonight cussing up a storm, screaming bloody murder about the events that transpired on December 2nd. Complaining doesn't matter. Sometimes all you can do is take it on the chin and stare down at adversity and don't look back down an inch. So no, I ain't going nowhere. But what do you do with Kenny Omega and that guy he's hanging around with who looks like a used car salesman? I have zero tolerance for shitty people." He said, "I would get involved in the main event, but Ray Phoenix has a chance at the belt tonight, and he worked 13 years for this opportunity. Kenny, just remember, I will get even and then some. And when I do, you're not going to see it coming. I will be in your blind spot, Kenny. I am your boogeyman." This was a fantastic promo from Mox responding. We wondered what he's going to be like without the AEW World Title, and he's just as good, really.
Well, he's probably going to still go after Kenny. He'll probably wrestle Kenny again at Revolution, unless they have a match at Beach Break. But that's going to be the challenger for now for Omega. I still think that there's other people involved because they still. I mean, remember, Moxley got jumped a couple of weeks before he defended that belt with Omega. Now the question was, who did it? I mean, there was rumors going around that it was Kenta from New Japan that came and attacked him, because Kenta's been calling him for that United States title shot that he has the contract for. But we all know that it wasn't Kenta, because Kenta is not, at that time, they still were doing the World Tag League, and they were in, I think there was no flights between Japan and the United States. Because I think New Japan has their own personal plane, like private plane. So I know that Tama Tonga was still in Florida, and I know Kenta is in Florida, lives in Florida, his family's in Florida. So who knows? Maybe he'll show up and show up at an AEW event and claim he was the one who attacked him, or it could be the Good Brothers who probably attacked him. So right now Omega has the challenge of the guy that he has to wrestle, which I don't see Moxley beating him, but that's going to be the guy he's probably going to end up wrestling, either Beach Break or Revolution.
It'll be interesting to see what they do after, like you said, the obvious rematch coming up. We then have Jake Hager versus Wardlow. The Inner Circle's watching for the match from the top of the ramp. Wardlow and Hager, two big Mack trucks, the immovable object hitting the unstoppable force. It's Godzilla versus King Kong, Jericho said. Lockups and actual wrestling. We then see Wardlow hit a release German suplex on Hager. Hager managing to get out and then put a head and arm trial on Wardlow, but he hit the rope. They climb to the second turnbuckle with Hager having Wardlow in the head and arm triangle again. Wardlow countered by dropping him down, and he followed up with the F10, and he pinned him. All it took was one small miscalculation. Wardlow to the match, a sign of respect. Wardlow and Hager fist bumping one another. I think Wardlow showed some impressive speed, and this was a very enjoyable match. It was more enjoyable than it should have been, really.
Yeah, I think they I like the fact the way they promoted it. The movable object against the immovable force, whatever. I was surprised. I thought Hager was gonna win it because Hager. I mean, when you see him wrestle now, as of late, he's like more like a strong style type of wrestler and whatnot. But Warlow, let me put it this way: for Warlow to do the F10 on Hager, that was impressive enough. I mean, and Warlow has keep impressing me. This guy, he's the future of AEW. I think he needs to stay away from MJF. But again, I think there's going to be some type of breakup between them two. Not right now because they're focusing a lot on the inner circle, or they're going to break up, or they're not going to break up. So, but Warlow, I love the fact that Hager pretty much, took the pinfall just, to push Warlow a little further up as far as, in the pecking order, should we say.
Yeah.
So
it's something we complain about with WWE all the time, and AEW doing it. And yeah, we go, is Wardlow ready? But at least he's getting the opportunity now. And it is a big deal, Hager, is relatively a kind of name. So Wardlow getting a victory was kind of, I won't say a surprise as such, but I think, a good result. And ahead of next week's main event, it was the TNT title weigh-in. Darby Allin and, of course, Brian Cage. Darby Allin had his skateboard and a brand new TNT Championship belt with him. And then Tony Schiavone was there to the weigh-in. 272 pounds was Brian Cage. Darby was 170 pounds. First of all, what you think of the TNT title?
Well, the TNT title now? Oh, that title looks beautiful now. I
think, yeah.
When it had the red belt, there was something missing on it. I don't know what it was. I think they needed probably another plate, or I didn't like the design of the word TNT. I don't know. It looked now with that black strap, it looks way better. I love it. I love the strap, and it matches with Darby.
Yeah, I think it really, really, matches the kind of character now. Well, Taz says this feud is 9 months in the making, but in reality, I've been dealing with shit like you my entire life. All else it ends tonight. So let's get to the fun part, said Darby Allin to Taz. Taz then said, you had a chance, Darby, and then just looks like it was going to kick off Sting's music hit, and of course it began to snow in Jacksonville as Sting walked out, and Taz said, I'm telling you, Darby, we are crowning Brian Cage next week the new TNT champion. I thought that was brilliant from Taz. I actually felt for him a little bit.
Yeah, Taz is a great promo guy. He helps a lot the group itself, because you notice as Brian Cage has been there, he don't talk much on the mic. He's not good at the mic. So Taz, is a good spokesperson for the group. And yeah, he makes it seem real. Like, hey, I'm tired of this shit. Sting keep coming out, and Darby, you're done next week, and so it makes it real exciting, because by this point, you keep asking yourself, okay, Sting keep coming out, now what? He wasn't doing anything. So at that point, I remember saying on my podcast that week, I was like, okay, you got the guy coming out every week, and he's doing the same thing. So is he gonna get physical, or he's not getting physical? So, but it was something to look forward to, because at that point I thought Brian Cage was winning the belt, because but the thing again with Brian Cage, I don't know if you agree with me, but I think personally they're underutilizing Brian Cage. This guy's a monster. Why is he not being pushed harder than that? And why he's walking around with a belt that, they brought it out, but they're not even recognizing it as a major. When I first saw it, I was okay, it's just another title. Guys could go for it, whatever. They're not doing nothing with that belt.
No, not even if it was kind of like they said, squash matches or something like that, to kind of just say that I am defending my title every week, and kind of play off the fact that you're a TNT champion, you should be defending every week, and I'm doing this, But again, I think they've done quite well. But like I said, Brian Cage I look at him, and I think, how has WWE not signed him or didn't sign him, or he's just got that kind of look of, if he was on Raw, he'd be destroying 5 Love, the entire, the smaller division. He'd be on top. Whereas maybe in AEW, there's maybe not enough positions on the, upper to main event style at this moment in time. It's like Lance Archer. I mean, how impressive has he been? And again, it's like, are they using him enough? Are they using him right?
Well, here's my thing with Brian Cage. He probably figured he didn't sign with WWE because he figured he probably, again, these wrestlers get in contact with each other. They know each other. They're in different promotions. I'm sure he must know somebody back there. And I think Brian Cage at one point did try out for WWE, and they never took him. So, some of these guys feel some type of resentment, like, toward WWE. They figure, well, I busted my butt to get here. You called me for a trial. I do the trial. You still don't take me. And now that he got big in the independent scene, and he was an Impact World Champion, now you're interested. And then some of these guys be like, well, you know what? I'm not signing with you guys. I could go to AEW, get the same amount of money, probably more, because Tony Khan is much richer than Vince McMahon. That's a well-known fact. And he probably figured they're going to give me the money I asked because they're trying to build a promotion. And, and he's going to go for the money. But at the same time, think about this. I think he showed up in the middle of the summer of last year. I think it was like in June. Now, let's say if he would have signed with WWE, would he, I think by August, he would have been in Titus Catering by now, because they will not use him. WWE just promotes the same people that's been there. They're not going to push guys like him who made himself in the indies, because it's not a Vince McMahon creation. And that's the way Vince McMahon WWE thinks. So I think with him signing with AEW, and I'm sure WWE probably offer him some good money, and he probably already made it up, because it was when he lost the belt to Sami Callihan. I think it was the pay-per-view in October that Impact has. I remember when he when he tore his bicep. He put that I think it was Wrestle Talk claimed that he was ready to sign with AEW. His wife tried to block it, made her, no, you don't know nothing, blah blah blah. But where was he going to go? We all knew he was going to AEW, because there was already talk before the first Double or Nothing that he wanted to be part of that. But Impact didn't want to send him, because they didn't want to, in case he didn't win the Battle Royal, they didn't want their champion looking foolish.
Well, back to Dynamite, we see MJF backstage talking to Hager, and Hager said, you almost got dropped when you walked in here, but you're cool. Thanks for checking on me, which was quite nice. And then we see Michael Stunt, and he's saying that he's going to be part and face of the tag team and face FTA next week. And then we had the American Nightmare Cody Rhodes with Snoop Dogg versus Matt Sydal. Of course, Cody Rhodes came out with Snoop Dogg and a remixed version of his entrance theme. We see Sydal attempting to shoot a star press, but Cody pulled up his knees. He then grabbed a reverse DDT, so they'll charge him with crossface like submission on Cody. After Cody escaped, he blasted Matt with a lariat, knocking both of them to the floor. Cody missed a pump kick as Sydal timed it, but Cody followed up with a disaster kick. He then hit the crossroads, not once, but twice for the victory. And then afterwards, Luther Serpentico, Chaos Project, jumped in the ring after the match and insulted Cody. The faces fought them off, and then Snoop Dogg went up to the top, and they're calling it a frog splash. I'm not going to call it a frog splash, but he covered him, and then Snoop Dogg counted to 3. What were your thoughts on the match? I thought it was a really good match between Cody and Sydal. What about the after-match shenanigans?
Before I say fix the microphone, because the microphone sounds a little like distorted. I think you're having the electrical problem again. This match was pretty good. It was pretty good. It was decent. It just, how you call it? I think Matt Sydal did a couple of botches. I mean, I know he did something. He slipped. I forgot what he was doing. Let me go to my notes here, because I know that I keep my notes, because I figure I probably will. He botched the move. And I think I don't know what's going on with Matt Sydal. Matt Sydal used to be a crisp type of wrestler back when I used to watch him in New Japan, in WWE when he was Evan Bourne. The match was decent. Now, the funny part is they added Serpentico and Luther in it. I mean, I don't know what was that all about. But I guess once we found out after the match where we saw it wasn't a frog splash, it was a bone splash.
It was a flop.
It was horrible. He went up there. You could tell he was scared to death because Snoop Dogg he has to be around 6 feet something, 6'3", 6'4". Now, if you never stepped in the ring and try to do any type of high risk maneuver, you could tell because he just oh my God, where he jumped off like help, and all you saw was like bones. I was like, oh my God, that is the worst frog splash I ever seen in my entire life in wrestling. But I guess it was just this match pretty much, if you really thought about it, it was a decent match, but it was all to promote the big show that they're having. That's what it was all about. But I think probably Snoop Doggy Dogg just wanted to do that little part, just to get it out of his bucket list. Yeah. It was crazy. Bone splash.
I think Cody has shown that he can work with anyone. That's constantly adding strings to his bow, and like I said, even coming up on Dynamite fighting I suppose his jobber again. It doesn't matter where you are on the card. He's going to try and have a good match. And then we have the AEW Women's World Championship match next. It's Hikaru Shida versus Linda Girl Abaddon. And Abaddon ambushed Shida as Shida was making her entrance. Shida smacked her right in the forehead with a kendo stick, but she sat right back up like it didn't bother her. Shida tried for the running knee lift, but she got bit into Shida's thigh. And Abdomen then got Shida under the ring, out of view from the referee and anyone else. She then crawled back out, and there was blood spilling out of her mouth, and it wasn't hers. Shida finally crawled back out, clutching her neck in intense pain. Shida got covered, but able to get her shoulder up. Shida managed to take down Abaddon with a frog splash off the second rope to the arena floor. Shida then rammed her head into the steel barricade and then suplexed her back in the ring. She bridged up in a freaky fashion, and now Shida with a lariat. Shida powered through the pain and hit a running knee, scoring the pin. The storyline leading into this, I don't think the title should be attached to it. And Shida winning, I didn't think helped trying to build that monster. Yes.
You know what? You're right. I agree with you, because if you're going to, like I felt like Abaddon, when she first came out, when I first saw her, I said, wow, this girl, it looks like someone who's going to give Shida a hard time. They didn't promote her, or they didn't push her the way she was supposed to be pushed. They made her look like a Undertaker / Bray Wyatt, because she did the spider walk at one point. And I was like, what the hell? And then they tried to do the blood thing. They took it to, I remember Shayna Baszler bit Becky Lynch in the neck, and the blood was coming out. But yeah, you see that there was no cut coming out of Shida's neck. And I'm like, oh my God, this is not. This match did not do no favors for Abaddon at all. If anything, it killed her character. Yeah. That's the way I see it. Because, yes, she looked like a formidable opponent, someone that could give her a hard time. But her time to shine in this match was nowhere to be seen. All she did was, it was cool the part where she got smacked in the forehead and she did some Undertaker crap and got back up. The thing that really, I was like, oh, this is not working, was the part when she bit in her neck and went under the ring and came back with blood, a lot of blood coming out, but then you don't see hardly nothing on Shida. And it didn't look believable. If you want to give something to somebody, you got to make it look believable.
Yeah.
And this match did not do no favors for Abaddon, and she should not get another title shot at all.
Well, I said earlier, poor NXT with a dusty classic trying to get tag teams together. I'll say here, poor AEW with the amount of talent and the building of the women in NXT. If we just talk about NXT compared to AEW, that's not even bringing the WWE's kind of women into it. It is weird how they're kind of treated. But it's on to our main event for the AEW World Championship. It's Kenny Omega versus Ray Phoenix, and Kenny connected with a swinging DDT on Ray Phoenix, but Phoenix popped right out. Omega on the outside of the ring. Omega repeatedly rammed Phoenix into the barricade. Ray Phoenix hopped over the steel barrier and then tried for a cut on Omega, but Omega caught him and countered with a snap dragon suplex. He then picked up Ray Phoenix and smashed him down on the ring apron. He used a Katara Crusher on Phoenix for a near fall. Omega countered Phoenix's Tornillo with a rising knee, a powerbomb, and then a V-trigger, but Phoenix managing to kick out. And then Omega used another V-trigger and then tried for the Wong-In Angel, but Phoenix countered with a reverse Hurricane Runner. Don Callis distracted Phoenix for a moment. Omega used the opportunity to hit another V-trigger. They were both charged up with Adrenaline Low. Phoenix used an outside in-cutter to stun Omega, and then followed up with a Thunder Driver for a near fall. He tried for a Frog Splash, but after being warned by Callis, Omega lifted his knees up, and then he caught Phoenix and planted him with a Tiger Driver 98. He followed up with a One-Winged Angel and pinned Ray Phoenix in an absolutely fantastic match.
Oh, man, listen, it's funny because I saw Wrestle Kingdom and I already had named like 4 matches that are match of the year candidates. And this one, well, Omega and Phoenix, match of the year candidate. I still haven't watched their Triple Mania match that they had before this because I think it was a week or 2 weeks after this. But this match was awesome, man. Ray Phoenix keeps impressing me. I mean, especially the part where Omega was trying to hit him with the One-Wing Angel, and he goes and changes it to a Poison Hurricanrana. I mean, the guy is great. He could be out there as one of the greatest luchadors in the future. I mean, this guy, he is great. Omega, of course, Omega could work with anybody. Omega will make anybody. He can make a broomstick look good. That's how great he is. But this match was awesome, man. It was awesome.
It was a fantastic matchup. But then something terrible would happen backstage. Pac and Penta El Zero were shot by the Butcher and the Blade, with Eddie Kingston looking on laughing. Keeping his word from earlier night, John Moxley came to the ring with a barbed wire baseball bat and hit Omega in the abdomen from a home run. Gallows and Anderson, the Impact Tag Team Champions, jumped over the barricades, invaded the ring, hit Moxley from behind. They smashed Moxley with the Magic Killer. They stomped on him. Brian Pillman Jr. and Griff Garrison ran to the ring, haven't seen enough, but Anderson and Gallows knocked him out of here quite easily. And then they picked Moxley up so Omega could hit him again and again with the base bat. The Young Bucks sprinted to the ring and tried to talk reason, and then all of a sudden they put up the famous hand sign, and the Bucks joined in with them. It was too sweet. Unbelievable, said Excalibur. After that match and that moment there, it was kind of shocking, a little, even though obviously the relationship, but I kind of wasn't expecting it.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting it either, but it left me wondering, is this really going to be like the new Bullet Club reunion because of Matt Jackson's face? Like, it looked like he didn't really want to do it. And I mean, but then again, this is what AEW does. If you leave, and this is what WWE should be doing too, you got to leave cliffhangers every week because then you're going to want to see it. You know what I'm saying? Now, this whole thing, nobody expected this. I mean, somewhere, somehow, I expected the Good Brothers to show up, but I didn't expect them to show up in this match between Omega and Phoenix. So, I mean, this is a great setup for a lot of, I mean, AEW could run with this as far as they could from here to June, you know what I'm saying, or July.
Yeah.
And then, the fact that they're now, you got the Impact Tag Team Champions in an AEW event, Now, most likely, I mean, we're going to end up probably seeing it. It's going to probably be the Good Brothers versus the Young Bucks. And I see it, and I think I mentioned this in December. I could see the Young Bucks versus the Good Brothers on Revolution.
I mean, if they did, that would be a fantastic matchup. And like I said, we've seen the kind of put in place now. And like with AEW, they kind of usually always go back. It was a fantastic first night. The only disappointment was the women's, but what an impact the Good Brothers made. But up next, we had Impact Genesis, which was January 9th. We had the first round of the Super X Cup. We had Ace Austin defeating Suicide, yet another distraction for Fulton, and allowed Austin to catch Suicide with the fold for the win. We had Blake Christian defeating Casey Navarro. Christian had a net breaker from the ropes and finished with a twist and splash for the win. Cousin Jake defeated Davari. Davari targeted his opponent's legs, applying the figure four, but Jack made it to the ropes to break the hold. He recovered, delivered a Black Hole Slam reminiscent of Abyss for the win. And then we had Crazy Steve defeating Trey Lamar. Steve delivered another side Russian leg sweep to submission, but Lamar countered his submission of his own and then escaped and tried for a top rope third. And Steve delivered a diving DDT for the win. And then in the semi-finals, we had Ace Austin defeating cousin Jake. Jake drove Austin to the mat for a near fall, but Austin showed guts in kicking out at 2. The fight continued from ringside back in, where Austin delivered a fold from out of nowhere. And then Blake Christian defeated Crazy Steve. Christian hung Steve up on the top rope, delivered a 450 splash. 3 count later, the young upstart scored an upset to advance to the final. I mean, folks, all opening matches were about 3 to 3.5. Nothing horrible, but nothing, standard or special, really. These weren't too bad, much more hard-hitting than expecting. And then we had Jazz versus Jordan Grace, and Jazz delayed her retirement one more time. So it's Jordan Grace, her partner in the Knockouts Tag Team Championship Tournament in singles competition. What are your thoughts on Jazz? She really is a legend, isn't she,
Listen, Jazz was the NWA Women's Champion for nearly 2 years. And the only reason she didn't have that title was because she vacated it because of health reason. When she was at NWA, no one could beat that woman. That woman's been around since ECW days. And we're talking about 1997. I forgot who was the group that she used to be part of. But the woman could go. I don't know. She must be in her 50s probably by now. And the woman could go. And if you see her Impact fighting at Jordan Grace is like the future of the woman wrestling. This girl could go also. So I'm very impressed that this woman, Jazz, still going into the ring after all these years. I mean, it's been 23 years when I think she first debuted, or probably longer, and she could still go. I mean, much respect to her, man.
Well, I remember seeing her in ECW, and I mean, she looks like a ripped Ghostbuster still now, like that. That's the kind of look. Yeah. It was hard hitting, but like I said, I wish it was a bit more decisive. We see Jazz delivering a slingshot in the corner, added some jabs, scored a schoolgirl roll up. Moments later, she counted the roll up from Jazz into one of her own for the win. Again, I wish it was a little bit more decisive, but the right woman won, and we see a nice sign of respect. I gave it 3.75 out of 5. And then we get a Super X Cup final, Ace Austin versus Blake Christian. And despite benefiting exponentially from distraction provided by his bodyguard, Madman Fulton, Ace Austin sent Fulton to the back. We see the babyface try for the twisted splash but missed. Austin went for the fold, but Christian countered into roll-up. A series of roll-ups and near falls ensured, giving way to a barrage of strikes from both men. Counters and reversal culminated in Austin delivering the fold to win the match and the Super X Cup. Final itself, the story of this tournament was the underdog, but of course Ace Austin coming through. I was impressed by him. What are your thoughts on Ace Austin, the Super X Cup winner?
I mean, and I said this, I think about when they gave the belt, I think it was in the summer, to Eddie Edwards. I was one of the guys that was really critical about what Impact was doing. I said, I understand what they were doing. They were giving the belts back to the old guys who held it in the past. Meanwhile, you got a guy like Ace Austin, who I've seen him wrestle in MLW. I've seen him wrestle in independent shows. I've seen him in Impact. And meanwhile, this guy he's improving every year. And I'm not saying, why is Ace Austin not the world champion? Man, forget about the X division. This guy could probably, I'd rather have him as an Impact World Champion than Rich Swann. I think when I see Rich Swann with that belt, I'm like, you're not world title material, brother. I mean, all respect, yeah, you got great maneuvers, but you could tell who's a world title material and who's not. And Ace Austin, they're not. This is the part that I don't understand why Impact has not put that belt around him. I mean, he could go places. Yes, he got Matt Fulton, whatever, but that guy and the way he talks on the mic, the way he does everything, his wrestling skill, his high risk maneuvers, the guy, he's the perfect 10. He could carry that promotion.
And I think the fold as a finisher is great because he can find various ways of hitting it. I did wonder if they could get a smaller cup for him to hold, because I thought it was just ridiculous, the size of it.
That cup looked like something that you buy in a dollar store. You know what I'm saying? Those little gift shops. I saw that this weekend. I was like, what the hell is that?
And I always enjoy tournaments, but the winner got nothing, not even a number one contendership match.
They should have, and that's what I was thinking. I'm like, I thought the Super X Cup winner gets a shot at the X Division title.
Josh Matthews even said on commentary, he goes, and the winner of this tournament should go to Scott D'Amore and ask him for a number one contendership match. Going, we just beat 3 men. Surely winning the tournament would give you the shot. But hey, it's the little things, The tournament wasn't too bad though. And then the main event was an I Quit match, Moose versus Willie Mack. Of course, Willie Mack was a victim of referee stoppage, made him to issue the challenge to Moose for an I Quit match. What are your thoughts on Moose and Willie Mack?
Let me start with Willie Mack. Willie Mack, I mean, Willie Mack is a pretty good wrestler. I mean, do I see him as a guy who could carry a promotion? Nah. He's more of a mid-card wrestler. I mean, he could hold a mid-card title. Now, Moose, and me and my roommate were talking about this. Moose has improved so much to where the first time I saw him in Ring of Honor, a guy had just started, he came from the football field, NFL, and now he was in wrestling. He was so green. I remember seeing him do moves, and I'm like, oh, this guy needs more. I need to train him more. But what I saw this weekend out of Moose, this guy has evolved. And only probably 2 or 3 years, or probably longer, 4. Moose is a beast. A guy, and that TNA belt that he's walking around. At first, when I saw him with that belt, I'm like, you're walking around with a prop. That don't mean nothing. But he can make that belt back come out again, TNA, and make it worth, to what it is. Moose is the future. I could see him. As a matter of fact, I could see him beating Rich Swann for the Impact World title, and him and Omega go at it for champion versus champion. That would be a great match.
The thing is, with the TNA World title, it's exactly the same. Well, it even might mean a little bit more than the title that Brian Cage has got, like kind of the FTW title, because he's at least saying that he's the king of TNA, and it's like, he might not be defended, but I think it's a statement of intent, which I quite like. And Mack dominated the early minutes of this match, but Moose refused to say. We see a slam onto the outside, the back of the mats, which was absolutely sick. And then Willie scaled the ropes for a third flog splash, but Moose hopped up, fueled by adrenaline, cut his opponent, perched atop the ropes. Mack hammered away at Moose. The heels raked his eyes slow and delivered a go to hell through a table on the way to the floor. And when sometimes you watch wrestling and and I actually went, fucking hell, what a bump. I was like, whoa.
Yeah, one of those moves.
Yeah, you were like, ooh. And then Moose introduced a number of chairs into the ring. And then just as he was just absolutely brutalizing Mack, Rich Swann came out and said, what do you want? I'll give you a shot. Moose said, all right, well, if you're going to give me a shot, thank you, I quit. So the show went off the air with Moose having achieved what he set out to, even though Mack obviously won the match officially. It was a brutal and intense match, and Moose looked the part. The punishment dished out was ridiculous. It was an interesting finish, but again, the person was, like I said, Mack's bump was absolutely unbelievable. And the last man standing match, I think, got the match of the night, an 8.25 rating out of 10. And then we move on to the Impact results from January 12th. And, of course, we see... have you seen any of the adverts with Tony Khan and Tony Schiavone in them?
I've seen some of them. I know a lot because they look like they invade the show, and then they start talking about what's coming on Wednesday, the day after. And I laugh because he says Impact could use Kenny Omega. I could use an injunction, but I'll let you have Omega. But I think it goes to show you that they are really working. It's just not it's probably not a short partnership. That's the way I'm looking at it. It's not a short partnership. I think it's going to be longer than that. And the fact that they're allowing Tony Khan to come to their show and promote AEW the next day, because it's like they're helping each other, which is great.
Yeah, but my problem with Tony Khan is like he's sporting a goofy 2021 sunglasses and he's playing the heel and he's saying stuff like, did you know Brian Cage used to be a Impact World Champion? Well, tomorrow night he gets the kind of biggest opportunity. Now, I don't really mind it, but the thing is, I don't want him to start kind of being a mark for himself, so to speak. Tony's done with AEW, and the position he's in is brilliant. I don't want him to become like an Eric Bischoff type, or God forbid, a Vince Russo, and start pushing himself on screen.
I don't see it that way. I think if you heard what was it? Tony Schiavone Wednesday, they were talking about the Hard to Kill pay-per-view, but he didn't mention it Hard to Kill. He said He said to the event, "Oh, they having this pay-per-view, Dead to Rights or Dying Here," but he didn't say Hard to Kill. So it's like AEW. They're trying to make themselves like the heel guys, and I mean, it's more to I guess to have Impact fans like, oh, look at these guys, Tony Khan, we don't like him, you know what I'm saying? But by them, if you could have people react to it, right? They're gonna go and still watch the show because even though they don't like it, they're still gonna watch the show. That's more people watching the product. You understand what I'm saying?
I'm gonna take your word for it. I'm gonna take your word for it now. But if he starts booking himself to win the AEW World Title in 6 months or a year,
I don't think that's happening now. I think Tony Khan won't do that. I think the only reason he's doing that is to give viewers, because he has to. The way I look at it, he has to act that way. Like he's cocky. He's the remember. AEW Impact. Impact, yes, they got a backing of Anthem, but Tony Khan is richer than Vince McMahon. Remember that. He got an amount of money, so he's the millionaire from the whole wrestling industry, even though his company is new. But at the same time, by them doing those promos and then Tony Schiavone acting like an asshole, you know what I'm saying? They're gonna make whether the fans of Impact like, oh, look at these asshole. I don't like Tony Khan. Look at this fat Tony Schiavone. They're still going to watch the show. They're trying to get people from Impact that watch Impact on Tuesday to come watch the product on Wednesday, because now they're going to sit there. They're expecting somebody from Impact to pop up. You understand what I'm saying?
It's the old Conor McGregor thing of, I don't know if anybody's a fan of MMA, listen to this, or UFC. It's half the people will pay to watch him win, and the other half will watch him get beaten.
Exactly. Matter of fact, I'm glad you use a Conor McGregor, but that's what Conor McGregor does. Conor McGregor will talk shit and will talk a lot of whether he wins or lose. He's still going to bring that fan base. There's going to be people that want to see him to lose, and there's going to be people that want to see him win. So I think what Tony Khan, supposedly taking advertising, minutes to promote the show, it's a win-win situation, because now, whatever happens in AEW with an Impact wrestler like the Good Brothers, whatever, people are still going to go and watch the Impact. I'm going to see what happens now, even though if Kenny Omega doesn't show up, or the Good Brothers, but they're still going to watch.
Well, we'll move on to the main event of Impact, which was Rick versus Anderson. We get an early back and forth, giving way to Anderson taking control by targeting the arm of his opponent. He sends Swan into the steel post, his shoulder cracking against the metal head into the break. The machine gun rocks Swan with a running boot for 2. Swan recovered, shook off his arm injury, and scored the win with a roll-up. But backstage, Gallows and Omega attacked Chris Sabin and Alex Shelley until Swan and Anderson joined in on the fray. A brawl between the competitors ensued as the show went off the air. It was not a bad show. I am a fan of Swan. I did think he was harshly treated his kind of release with WWE. I said earlier, you don't see him as a world champion.
No, I don't. It's because I don't know. I know he was hurt for a while. He was out, I think, for months because he got injured or something. The way WWE, well, he kind of did himself in WWE because he got into some domestic violence situation and WWE let him go. WWE.
Yeah, but it was. I mean, what happened? Because I remember a couple of stories. I mean, there was a couple of things, but there was an argument in the kind of, and it kind of makes me think that if you look at someone like Jeff Hardy, who's had so many incidents for so many years.
But they're not going to take the chances. See, Jeff Hardy, they're going to take the chances because they're going to go and try to help Jeff Hardy, whatever. But Swan, remember, WWE is a public company, so now, if Swan was not a well-known wrestler, so they're not gonna take the chance with him. They figure like he's just he at that time he was a cruiserweight. He's not gonna make us money. They didn't see him as a big superstar that's gonna bring in money, so that's why they let him go. But he has shined in the independent scene because I seen him in House of Glory here in New York City. I seen him in Impact. I seen him. Did I see him at MLW? I think I saw him at MLW. So he's done well enough for him to win titles, but I don't see him as a world champion. I mean, maybe because of his body, he doesn't fit as a world champion because of his physique. I don't know. He's a good wrestler. Don't get me wrong. He had a great match. I think in it's an anniversary a couple of years with John Morrison for the X Division champion, which was a great match. And even him beating John Morrison then, showed me that, okay, he could hang with the big boys. I mean, maybe I have to see him more to get used to him with the world title. I mean, the title looks good on him, but I just don't see him. I think he's gonna end up losing that belt to Moose.
Well, we'll move on January 14th, and it's New Year's Smash Night 2, and the show opens with a promo for Eddie Kingston promising to bust Pac up so bad that he'll go home and never come back. So it's Eddie Kingston versus Pac. We get hot start action almost immediately to the floor where Pac uses Kingston's momentum against him. Kingston fires back at him and knocks him to the floor where the bunny rakes his face with her nails. It is a brutal match because you can see the redness of the shot. The bastard hit a superplex, but it's not enough. Boots in the corner, keep hammering Kingston. Eddie fires up low, but Pac hits a sick kick in return. Kingston heads up top and then wins with the Black Arrow. In post-match, Pac locks the Brutalizer on briefly, but Bryce pulls him off and Death Triangle square up against Kingston's family. Lance Archer runs into play equalizer, runs the heels off. He jaws at Pac, telling him we better get on the same page before storming out. What were your thoughts on that opening segment?
You know, that match, you could tell that Eddie Kingston hurt his left arm. He kept shaking it throughout the whole match. It wasn't Eddie Kingston like. I mean, it looked like Pac dominated him most of the match. It's like his timing was a little off. So I don't know if because he hurt his left arm, and you can see it when you see the match. He's like kind of like his arm is kind of limp. So it's kind of limp. So but the match is good because Pac. I mean, this was a match that was in the making for a while. I mean, I like the whole storyline, the way they set it up. I just feel that after the match, he put him in the Brutalizer, and the fact that Lance Archer came out and pretty much kept telling Pac, no, he's mine. I see those two guys going at it. I mean, it's going to be a mixed match because Pac looks like a little elf against a giant like Lance Archer. But these two are going to go at it just for them to get that chance just to have one-on-one match again with Eddie Kingston.
Well, next match was Chuck Taylor versus Miro, and Taylor blasts Miro from behind with forearms and taking him out of the ring with a clothesline. But Kip Sabian blasts Orange Cassidy at ringside. Taylor then takes care of him with a kick off the ropes, but the Bulgarian Brute catches him with some Samoan drop. Punching combinations in the corner, overhead belly to belly. Miro is on a roll. We get a corner body avalanche and a spinning wheel kick. Calling for game over. You get the match kick, stomp to the back. Game over. Is locked in the middle of the ring. Is over. He wins by submission, forcing Chuck Taylor to be his young boy. The Hills drag Chuck off while Orange Cassidy looks on. This is the Miro we need. This is the Miro we want. He looked like an absolute killer in this match. Yeah,
definitely. He did look like a killer in there. I mean, I like what Chuck Taylor did. He tried to jump on him, get started to the offense outside. I think he threw him against the railing at one point. But this is what the Miro that we were supposed to see when he first came in. I think it was in May or June, whatever it was. But it's a good storyline right now because now Chuck Taylor is like a young lion, like the young lions in Japan. And this is a setup because now, being that Trent is going to be out probably 4 or 5 months, even though he doesn't need a pectoral surgery, but this now sets up a match between now a David and Goliath match between Orange Cassidy and Miro. I mean, I do not want to see Orange Cassidy beating Miro because then you just kill his whole monster gimmick. But either I could see Miro just attacking Orange Cassidy to a point where he gets disqualified, whatever. But you got to make him look like a monster, an unstoppable guy. Like what I saw last Wednesday with him remind me what his gimmick in WWE and when he first came out. So, they got to continue it. He needs to stay away from Kip Sabian. I don't like him teaming up with Kip Sabian. Kip Sabian makes him look a little weak,
But I think he looked the most comfortable he has done.
Joining
AEW. The next couple of skits we had are quite enjoyable. I do quite enjoy the antics of the Inner Circle, and they're basically Hager wants championships, but of course everybody else is arguing over everything else and saying who the number one team is. MJF and Jericho saying it's Slam. Obviously, the team doesn't agree, so we get it official that it is going to be Ortiz and Santana going against MJF and Chris Jericho against Hager and Guevara to be the official tag team of the Inner Circle. Again, I think that's quite a good idea,
Yeah, and this is perfect because I've been saying it since day one. Santana Ortiz was a hot commodity back in 2019. I mean, they had titles all over the independent scene. I mean, they had titles in House of Glory. They had titles in Impact, even AEW. I mean, the guys that had like 3 or 4 titles, even had titles in Puerto Rico. So here they come, and they come to AEW. They shock the world and All Out after the Lucha Bros and Young Bucks match. And then they joined the Inner Circle. They had a great match in the parking lot brawl with the Best Friends, which I think I enjoyed it very much on that segment. But after that, they have not been doing anything. And maybe this is the setup that going to show that they're going to be the dominant tag team, and they probably leave Inner Circle. They need to leave the Inner Circle. If they're going to explode and be a good tag team, I'm dying to see them wrestle FTR. I mean, you know how great that match was? FTR versus I still call them LAX, but not as proud and powerful. That would be a great match. Santana Ortiz versus Dax and Cash. That's money right there. That's a pay-per-view match right there.
I don't think they've done enough with Santana and Ortiz, and hopefully, like you said, this is the start of it. And then we get backstage with the Dark Order, and Adam Page is going to tag with them and going to see if he's going to join the stable. John Silver was absolutely phenomenal in this, kind of celebrating the fact that Page is going to maybe be part of the Dark Order. We'll be back from commercial, and we see a video package recapping the bill for Allen versus Cage, which is really well done. And then backstage, Kenny Omega, the Young Bucks, and Don Callis interviewed. Callis overjoyed to see the band back together with all the belts, but insists on separate entrances for the trio. Kenny makes his entrance, and Callis gets on the mic saying it's special because he introduces the World Tag Team Champions, the Good Brothers. So then it's Danny Limelight, Varsity Blondes, losing to Omega, Gallows, and Anderson in very quick style. Even though the faces did get heart attack again, it was overdone with after the Magic Killer. And post-match, John Moxley made his entrance, attacks Omega, Gallows, and Anderson try to break him up. He gains the advantage, and then briefly for the damn numbers game, Lucha Brothers make the save. Wrestlers pull out the locker room to break things up as they foul. Mox dives into the crush. The Young Bucks come down. They square up with Moxley, Gallows, and Anderson. And they come back into the fray. Kenny Omega, Don Callis leave, and we go back to the pull apart. What did you think? Because the Young Bucks not being announced, I didn't really do much for me.
Yeah, I mean, to me, this is, like I said, this is a bigger storyline. I mean, like 1 week we saw the Good Brothers come in, and then the Young Bucks joined them in the Too Sweet thing. Now this following week, now they got played. The Good Brothers were the ones going to team up with Omega. But one thing I'm going to say about their opponents, Danny Limelight, that guy is a gem. I had him a couple of times on my show. This is a guy that, you know, he's good. I mean, I've been watching him in AEW Dark. I've seen him in California. Oh my God, Wrestling from Hollywood. I've seen him in a lot of other places. Especially, I discovered him in New Japan Strong Style. He's in New Japan Strong, and for him to be in that type of match with him and Omega, that's a great thing for him. Even though they didn't win, but you know, that's right there. That's a guy that I will tell you right now, you got to watch. You got to keep an eye on him because he's going to be make noise. As far as the whole thing with the Omega, the Good Brothers and Young Bucks, like I said earlier, that's a setup. That's a setup between them two going at it, champion versus champion, either Beach Break or Revolution, because you know, and then the thing is, it's kind of confusing because they're doing the Too Sweet. They came in, I think they came in with Bullet Club. Did they come in with Bullet? I know one of them had some Bullet Club stuff. So now it's riling up, it's stirring another pot in another promotion, which is New Japan. You see what I'm saying? So it's like this whole thing, yeah, it's crazy, but at the same time, now behind all this, okay, we're probably gonna see the Young Bucks versus the Good Brothers, but it pretty much told you who are the next contenders to fight the Young Bucks for those titles, and that's the Lucha Bros, because they super kicked them out of nowhere. So they're the next challenges to the Young Bucks. I think the Young Bucks will beat them, just because that's like the third meeting they have, because they already had 2 meetings. One was for the AAA titles, and I think the Young Bucks beat them at Double or Nothing, and then the Lucha Bros gained them back. So now the AEW titles are going to be on the line because the Lucha Bros. I think the Young Bucks will beat them though. I think they'll probably have a face off in Beach Break.
He's there as well for Pac to gain a bit of momentum and face Omega possibly for the title as well down the road, you know, because obviously you got the history there, so I think it makes sense. But we then get the waiting room with Britt Baker and Cody Rhodes is a guest, but doesn't get much.
That was horrible.
I am going to skip as quickly as possible. Yeah, he doesn't really get to say anything. Thunder Rosa is going to be back, and that was the main thing of the segment. But
did you see the size and the height of that girl? She is taller than the whole roster. A girl's a monster. She reminds me of China.
It was
when they got, I think was it Velvet? Yeah, Velvet stepped up to her, and Velvet looked like a little kid fighting with her mom, and I'm like, what the hell? The girl's huge.
Jade Cargill, yeah. I mean, it's the most kind of WWE thing I've seen on AEW television, if you know. It was
she's as tall as Billy Gunn.
But of course, like I said, the match is set. It is going to be Britt Baker versus Thunder Rosa at Beach Break on February 3rd. So that will be I guess that will be our next AEW.
You know why they didn't have that match? You know why they didn't have that match that week, right? With Thunder Rosa. They were supposed to have it that week. It was supposed to be Thunder Rosa and Britt Baker, but supposedly, I think Thunder Rosa either got in contact with COVID or she had COVID, one of those. So that's why they didn't have it.
Like I said, we are going to see that at Beach Break, which will be the next AEW special that we do. And then our next match is FTR versus Jurassic Express. And, of course, Stunt and Wheeler. Marco Stunt in the match. He's to start, and he gets manhandled. And he's in a bit of trouble. But, obviously, we get the hot tag, comes in, looking good. But then Marco to the floor. Tully Blanchard throws him into the ring post, and Jungle Boy chases him around the ring. Cash hits him with a lariat and throws him into barricade. A Stunt back inside, tag made, and then the big rig on Marco Stunt to get the victory. And then we move on to Serena Deeb versus Tay Conte for the NWA World Women's Championship. Again, maybe not the best match out there, but Serena Deeb is a wonderful talent. She won with the Detox to retain the World Championship. What were your thoughts on the NWA World Championship match and FTR at this moment in time as well?
The Tanya Conti and Serena Deeb, that match was pretty good. It shows you how much Tay Conti has improved since she got there. I mean, Serena Deeb, she could have beat her. I mean, it looked like she was going to beat her, and I was hoping she beat her. But, I think the one part that I loved, though, about Serena Deeb, she caught Conti on the top turnbuckle and put her in a Gory Guerrero special. I've never seen anybody do that. So it shows you that Serena Deeb is carrying the women's division there. And the thing is, it's crazy because she's the NWA Women's Champion. So, you're helping the division, but you really representing NWA. So this is something that Sheeta should be doing. You know what I'm saying? And now that that was the match right after the Britt Baker, whatever. They should have not even put that. That stuff like that. You should leave it at AEW Dark. That whole 5-minute, 10-minute segment, you could have added another women's match. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, are they really, really invested in the women's division? But Conti, she looks great all the time. The woman has an MMA background. Serena Deeb, I didn't even know that Deeb trained Conti early in her career. So that was something they mentioned in the match. So, it was a pretty good, decent match. And whenever you got Serena Deeb in there, or you got a Thunder Rosa in there, and you got a Tay Conti, and Anna Jay is another one that has improved so much from the time she came there. So you got a couple of females there that they could do a lot, but not everybody's in that level.
And when your two biggest women's stars of the past 6 months has been the NWA women, it shows that there's a slight problem.
Oh, it's a big problem because even right now, I could give you 2 women in there. Eva Lise has been in the business for like 15, 16 years. But when I see her wrestles, there's botches in between. I'm like, what are you not doing? Are you guys even practicing before these events happen? Because you got to have some type of chemistry when you're with somebody in the ring, Also, what's the other guy? Diamante is another one. You see bodges and you be like, what the hell?
We'll move on to our main event, and it's Brian Cage versus Darby Allin for the TNT Championship. Allin out the gates with a drop kick and a wicked suicide dive, smashing Cage's head into the barricade. Back inside, off the ropes again, another dive, but Brian catches him into a suplex on the floor. Back inside, military press. Cage press slams Darby over the ropes and to the floor, through the timekeeper's table. Fucking hell. And another press slam takes Allin back inside. Brian just destroying him. As we see, Darby is busted wide open. We go to a break with Darby just surviving. We then see Cage hitting an F5, but Darby gets the shoulder up at 1. And then repeated power bombs. The last one, a released jackknife. Allin flips in the bird defiantly as Brian lifts him up and hits an awesome bomb over the ropes and to the stage. Brian then hangs onto the ropes, but Allin bites his finger and he falls onto the steps. We get a coffin drop off the top and into the steps. Back inside, coffin drop attempt. Darby bites him to escape, takes his belt off, standing diamond dust down, ties his feet together with a belt, sitting on his back, hammering with punches. He charged in. Brian is able to drop him and take the belt off him. That was a really, really nice exchange. Then we get a shotgun drop kick even, connects up top for a double stomp. But then we get Ricky Starks running interference and crotching Allin on the turnbuckles. The lights go down and Sting is here. He hits Starks with a baseball bat a few times. Cage is up on top, but Darby counters into an avalanche crucifix driver to retain the TNT. A match this was.
Yes, and the more I see Darby Allin, I mean, there was matches that there was part of the match that I was like, I thought he was getting bent. He was getting up in the 1 count, not 2 count. He was getting up in 1 count in certain predicaments. And I was like, this dude, he impresses me, even though he doesn't have a body as a wrestler. He's very slim. But, he really impressed me, especially the part when he was flipping the bird on Brian Cage. It's like he's relentless. It's the type of guy that I like, that I will hang with, But it's finally they used Sting to do something because I was like, okay, he's coming out, and I knew he was going to use the bat. But they finally used Sting. Now, again, I want to know what other things they're going to do with him. I mean, is he going to get, at one point, is he going to get jumped? Are they going to hurt him? I mean, how much bumps can he take? So that's something we still got to watch. But I like the whole match. I like the whole thing. I like the storyline between him and Darby Allin. So, now we'll see who's the next opponent. And but I'm sure Team Taz is not done with him. So most likely they'll probably work against Ricky Starks or Hobbs.
Yeah, I think we're looking at Revolution. It will be kind of Sting's, teaming up with Allin to take on Team Taz, and we see where we're going for there. But like I said, rating-wise, Dynamite 762,000 viewers, whilst NXT only averaged 551,000 viewers. So like I said, Dynamite is on a streak there. Before Hard to Kill, was a couple of stories coming out of Impact Wrestling. Matt Striker and D'Lo Brown are the new commentators, taking over from Josh Matthews and Madison Rain. Josh Matthews
and not to interfere, but I love that combination. It's better than Matthews and Reigns because they were boring.
We'll get on to that in a bit about Matt Striker. But like I said, Matthews has signed a multi-year contract with Impact. He's still going to be a part of it. And then, of course, the big news was that the fact that Alex Shelley will not be on the show and he'll miss the event due to unavoidable circumstances. And, of course, EVP Scott D'Amore has put Moose into that matchup. What were your thoughts when you first heard that news? Yeah,
it was very, very interesting. When I saw during the week that they changed the match, they changed the competitors in the match, and I saw it was Moose. I'm like, how is that going to work when Moose is trying to get the title from Swan? But, I mean, again, I love the storyline they're doing with Moose again, and so I'm really looking forward. I was really looking forward to see not only the match, but now it's Moose versus Omega. Rich Swann versus him. So it was cool. I was very excited. I was looking forward to it.
Well, we start and we've had all this build up now and we get onto it. It's January 16th. It's Impact Hard to Kill. On a pre-show note, Kenny Omega and the Good Brothers were not pleased about Moose as Alex Shelley's replacement. Don Callis hatched a plan. Moose still has 2 years left in his Impact contract. Callis can make those 2 years pleasant or rough. The Invisible Man left to speak with Moose, and then we see Brian Myers defeating Josh Alexander. Myers pulled down Alexander's headgear to escape an ankle lock. Myers blasted Alexander with big clothesline to win on the pre-show. I like Myers, plus I collect wrestler figures, which also helps. He was wearing a Brodie armband. The advert hurt the match a little bit. I didn't mind the match, but I have got a note on the commentary, and it is Striker can be a bit too smart for his own good sometimes.
Well, I didn't get to see the pre-match because I put it exactly at 8 o'clock, my time over here. But the fact that you got, I know him as Kurt Hawkins, whatever, beating Josh Alexander. I mean, is Alexander leaving Impact? Because why would you even? That's another guy in the future of Impact. You got him losing to a WWE guy. That makes no sense. I don't know. I mean, as far as Matt Striker is he's a student to the game. I mean, I don't think he wrestled for many years, but he's a student of the game, and I like guys like that. I like guys that will go and tell you what's going on and gives you all the info you need. I mean, many people may not like it, but I like his style of commentating. I
don't mind the style. I just don't want to hear him referencing 370s bands. Do you know what I mean? It's like, let's focus on the action. Don't be like I said, don't be too smart. We then get Madison Rae announcing her official retirement from professional wrestling. It was a lovely goodbye from her. She helped build the division from the ground up.
Yeah, that's true. She was one of the pioneers. I think she held the bell like about 2 or 3 times. When I see Madison Rae, it reminds me of the good old days of TNA, Impact, and the Beautiful People and all that stuff. I mean, she's still young. She did a right move. You know what I'm saying? Like, she enjoyed her success. And all the awards that came with it. I wish her the best of luck.
Well, we get the pay-per-view opens up with a video package of Kenny Omega, Don Callis, Doc Gallows, and Carl Anderson on AEW Dynamite. In the video, Alex Shelley says he won't be able to compete tonight. Moose will take his place. After watching the opening promo, I think Moxley as a replacement would have made most sense, but there was no way he was going to show up on Impact, was there?
No, I doubt it. But, I love the whole Don Callis gimmick. He's the invisible hand. I love it. I mean, you can't come up with nothing better than that. But I love the video package. The beginning of the video package for the show, it shows you this is what you gotta expect. This is coming, pretty much telling you, look, you got AEW World Champion coming in to team up with your Impact World Champion to go against some of your stars. So the whole video package and the whole promo with Don Callis in the back, it can't get any better than that.
Without a doubt, Highway Studios with Matt Striker and D'Lo Brown. There's piped in crowds noise, and our first matchup is Decay versus Neil Dashwood and Caleb with a K. Willow Hills on Tuesday. Impact with Crazy Steve and Rosemary reformed the Decay. The face painted duo kicked off the evening's festivities with a mixed tag team match against Tenille Dashwood. Rapid tags between Steve and Rosemary allowed them to keep Caleb unsettled. The social media maven Low did prove useful in pulling down Rosemary by a hair, allowing Tenille to take control of the match. Convoluted setup for mid-pre proved costly and led to Rosemary tagging back into the match and tearing into Dashwood. She sent the Australian flying across the ring for joining Steve for a chokeslam with Caleb. She speared Dashwood for teeing off on Caleb. The heel answered with a kick to Rosemary's face before turning his attention to Steve. The twisted anti-hero spewed green mist into the eyes of their opponents, and Steve finished Caleb with a jumping DDT to earn the win. What were your thoughts on that match?
Well, and like I said on my podcast on Sunday, I did not know that Impact allows intergender matches where the guy could put his hands on the female. I didn't know that. I did not know that. I thought they only did that with Tessa Blanchard and Sami Callihan. After that, they didn't do it. The match itself, to begin a pay-per-view, it wasn't all that. I was very disappointed to see Tenille Dashwood, how they're using her. And Crazy Steve looked good. I mean, Crazy Steve, I remember him from Decay when about 7 years ago when he was with the Abyss, and so it's nice to see he's still around, and he's gotten better. The match was for beginning of a pay-per-view. It's a match I won't see again. I'll tell you that much.
Well, this is the thing. I mean, it was not a bad way to start the show, but did this need to be on pay-per-view? Was this really the match that, want to start everybody off? Dashwood has got star written all over it. Let's hope a good 2021. Overall, not a horrible match. I'm going to give that a 3.25 out of 5 to start off.
I'll give it a 2.
Fucking hell.
That's what I'll give it a 2, because what's killing me is Caleb. He looks good. I mean, he gave Rosemary a super kick, and that's what it left me thinking, like, since when a male could do that to a female? Well, he super kicked the shit out of freaking Rosemary, and then what got me a little more disappointed was the way they lost. Like, they taking pictures from the top row with cell phones, and then they get beaten. And I'm like, that don't make no sense. It looked like something that WWE would do.
I think without doubt. Prediction-wise, I went Decay, so I'm 1 for 1 at this moment in time. Poll-wise, they went for Decay 82%. We then see a backstage segment with Don Callis, Kenny Omega, and the Good Brothers arriving, slapping the papers out of a backstage crew member. And then we get an old school rules match. Eric Young's crusade for changing the business began with the introduction of Joe Doring and continued with the indoctrination of Dina, the newly dubbed Violent by Design partner to battle Tommy Dreamer, Rhino, and Cousin Jake under old school rules. Dreamer's tribute to Dusty was lovely, and it's good now that Dreamer is actually the same size as Dusty Rhodes.
That's a good one. Here's the problem I have with Tommy Dreamer. Any Tommy Dreamer match, you know for a fact somebody's either going to bleed, or they're going to use a chair, or they're going to use some crazy stuff. Now, the match itself wasn't bad, because I never seen Joe Doring ever. I mean, and I follow wrestling all over the world. Supposedly this guy won the Triple Count All Japan title in Japan. So, and I like the way they promoted him. He's the hidden gem from pro wrestling, and the guy really impressed me. He got hit with chairs from 3 different guys, and he still took it, and he impressed me. Eric Young looks like he's so happy. I don't know if it's me or he looks happy back at Impact. Who was it? Another one in Cousin Jake. Cousin Jake is another one that I like his style. He looks good, and Diener. He looked like a maniac. So the match was pretty good. I like the fact that Eric Young won that match with that power driver. But anytime you see Tommy Dreamer in a match, and then with those polka dots, every time I see the polka dots, I'll be like, okay, here goes Dusty Rhodes. And yeah, he's gotten big as a tank. I mean, but that's his style. That's it. That's the way he created his legacy in the business. That's what he was all known for the entire of his career, a gimmick wrestler, type of guy who will go into these type of fights.
Well, betrayed by his cousin, Jake came face to face with Dean after being slapped once more by his family. Jake teed off on a brainwashed baddie. He actually broke down from there with all 6 competitors pairing off. The dominant Defiant Doring stood tall in the ring, daring the 3 bay faces to hit him with chairs. They teed off trying to eliminate him from the equation. The former All Japan pro wrestler withstood the onslaught. The Hills drove Jake into a chair which bent, but the big man recovered and saw through the ropes onto Doring and Young, stopping him from removing the protecting covering from the floor. Rhino unloaded on Doring with a kendo stick, but the big man started him with a chokeslam, broke the weapon over his knee. He is looking like a monster. Thumbtacks were introduced, and Young quickly experienced the agony of the piercing weapons in his back. Still, the former world champion recovered long enough to rock Jake with a hockey mask and score the pinfall victory. Like I said, it was what it was. But the question is, how wide is Rhino? Is he the widest wrestler of all time?
I mean, he looks like he hasn't changed. He's always been like that. He's always been that big.
It's wide. The wideness, it's like he's coming out. He's the same like as the entrance way now. I've never seen a wrestler.
So then I gotta go see an old ECW show to see how big he's gotten, because I seen him. I gotten used to seeing him the way he looked. I mean, he still does the gore. That's what I'm saying. Like, I mean, it's good that Impact has veterans, but you got veterans that are into the hardcore stuff. Then you got to have veterans in there that either technical wrestlers or regular wrestlers. But Rhino, yeah, I mean Rhino is Rhino. Again, I have to go watch a old ECW match because I know Rhino's always been a thick boy. You know what I'm saying? He's short. Yeah. He's a short guy. He's compacted.
Honestly, goodness, you'll be shocked by how wide it's almost like Kane sitting down length. That's how tall it is. I do like Violent by Design. The name.
Yes, I like that name. Outfit. I love that name. Yeah, Violent by Design. Because when I was writing my notes, I didn't want to write all the names. I just said Violent by Design. I said that's a cool name, Violent by Design.
And matching outfits matter a lot with teams as well. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, and then to top it off, it's a cool name for guys, especially Eric Young and that Joe Doring guy. They are violent. So Violent by Design. That's a perfect name.
I don't mind the tornado gets used enough, and I think it was fun.
Yeah, I mean, to me, I like it. So I mean, the match itself was pretty good. I mean, what you expect in they didn't call it old school match. Yeah. But it was more of a hardcore match. It just added an old school match, to make it more, more entertaining. But it was a decent match. It wasn't bad.
I'm gonna give that a 3.5 out of 5.
A 3.5? Yeah, I agree to that. 3.5. Yeah.
Yeah, good effort by
that Joe Doring guy impressed me though. That guy, he got hit with chair shots and he took them all. And he reminds me of a Bradshaw, Stan Hansen, and who else? And a Brodie, Bruiser Brodie.
You can feels like sometimes you can maybe accidentally, drive into him and he wouldn't notice or something like that. Like it's just sheer size of the guy as well.
Yeah, he's a big boy.
Predictions, Young again. So I am 2 and polls. Eric Young was 67%. We then get a backstage segment with Rich Swann, Chris Sabin, and Moose. Swann yells at Moose and says he doesn't trust him. Moose says he won many football games with guys he didn't like. Moose says he's not going to let an outsider come to Impact and disrespect the company.
I like that. I like that promo. I love that promo. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Moose is getting better as far as promos, ring ability. That promo, I loved it because he's like, he uses football days to let Swann look, I didn't like my teammates, but when it came to the field and we needed a game, we had to get along and win. So that helped. That promo was good.
Well, we get our Knockouts tag team title match next, and the teams of Havoc and Nevaeh and Kira Hogan and Tasha Steele sought to etch their names in the history books in the final to crown a new Knockout tag team champions. Impact has always been at the forefront for women's wrestling in my eyes, and I think the kind of respect they have for it. We see the 17-year-old veterans rolled early, working over the competition with a size and power advantage. However, Stills and Hogan, now known collectively as Fire and Flavor, then down Havoc and worked over in the corner. I was impressed with both teams here. I think they both gave a lot.
Yeah, I was surprised though that Havoc allowed the offense by Fire and Flavor. I mean, there was a little rookie mistake by Hogan at one point, but Fire and Flavor looked like the better team. Like they gel better, which I was surprised because I thought Havoc and Nevaeh, supposedly they won tag team titles in the Indies. They looked a little bit off, or they were gonna pass the torch. I saw this as a pass the torch type of match because Fire and Flavor, they Tasha Steele, I seen the wrestle, she's pretty good. Kiara Hogan has improved since the first time I saw her wrestle. So the way the match ended was again David versus Goliath because Nevaeh and Havoc were much taller than these two young ladies. But yeah, you're right. The Impact or TNA were always, I think they were the first promotions to bring out the women's tag team belts. And those belts look beautiful too. I like the way they designed them. I think if they continue to do what they do best as far as the tag team division, women's tag team, they could be the leading promotion as far as tag team is concerned. I mean, I don't want to see AEW trying to do a tag team division. They came in to do a regular division. You don't try it.
No, without a doubt. And Brian Hebner was a referee as well, of course, returning after a stint away. We see
I didn't even know Brian Hebner was in Impact.
He came back as referee and he refereed the main event as well. We see Havoc driving Stills and Hogan to the ground with a double power bomb out of the corner. Havoc's raw power, and Navarre looked to put the opposition away, but an alert Hogan rolled her out of the way. The Heels recovered and scored a near fall on Havoc, but Navarre broke up the pin. Hogan and Stills recovered, and the former delivered a fisherwoman's net breaker for the win and the tag team titles. Gail, Kim, and Madison Rain joined the new champions in the ring for a passing of the torch moment.
Yeah, that was nice. Yeah, that was nice. That was cool. It shows you the impact. It shows you the impact as far as the women's division. They're doing the right thing. I think they're doing much better, I think, than any promotion right now as far as the women's division. But they continue. They could be the number one promotion as far as women's tag team. And I wish them the best, because listen, everybody gets to enjoy this, and everybody gets to benefit from it.
Well, I think they should have had more time, the match. I mean, when you think about it, it was only maybe 8 or 9 minutes. Both teams were really impressive, but the finish came out of nowhere. I found out a couple of times during the pay-per-view as well, where there wasn't a kind of build. It was just kind of, oh, there's a victory, job done. Fire and Flavor are the new champs. Again, it wasn't a terrible match. I'm going to give that 3.5 out of 5.
Yeah, it wasn't a terrible match. I just feel that I was shocked. I was very shocked that they dominated Havoc. I mean, Havoc was the biggest girl in the whole match, and they were able to use their fast-paced tactics. I noticed they used a lot of sleeper holds and all that to get off balance. And I know Fire and Flavor is going to be a tag team to watch. I mean, they got the chemistry, but it's going to be interesting to see who's going to beat them.
So what did you say? There's a 3.5. Are we gonna?
Yeah, 3.5. Check your mic, dude. You sounding like a robot again. Go ahead. Try it now.
So poll wise on that.
There you go. Well. You don't sound like RoboCop.
Dead or alive, you're coming with me.
Yeah.
Anyway, predictions. Hogan Stills 3 for 3 for me. Polls. Hogan got 63% of the vote.
Oh, wow. I was surprised, because I thought that Havoc and Nevaeh were going to win. That's the way I had it, because of the size. They had size. Both of the girls had size over Fire and Flavor. And that I had them winning that match. I'm surprised that the Twitter world thought that Hogan and Steel were going to win it.
We get a backstage segment of Crazy Steve and Rosemary wanting to help Taya Valkyrie. AC Roma then sneaks into the women's locker area. Then we get Super X Cup winner Ace Austin making his way to the ring unscheduled, accompanied by Madman Fulton. Dismayed by his lack of placement on the card, he demanded Scott D'Amore add him to the match for the X Division Championship. Instead, Matt Cardona, who appears to be in the company's latest free agent signing, he dominated Austin before Fulton entered to cause disqualification a few minutes into the match. Long Island Broski fought off the big man and stood tall to close out the segment. So, this did happen. I'm more of a fan of Hawkins over Ryder, and I do like Ace Austin. But what are your thoughts on this?
The Matt Cardona, that surprised me. That really surprised me. Because, I mean, watching, first of all, I don't know why this is the way they had Ace Austin in a pay-per-view. I thought they would have him, like, wrestle somebody. I mean, he got to wrestle, but how long was that? Like 3 minutes? But I was surprised to see Matt Cardona in there. But then again, Matt Cardona never signed an AEW contract because he wanted to be more of a free agent, which is pretty good, because I'm hearing that you're going to see him in a couple of weeks, because they do all those tapings. So he did a couple of tapings with them. I mean, it was nice. It was nice to see Ace Austin and Matt Cardona face off. And at the end of the day, nobody lost credibility, because the match ended up disqualification. I think Matt Cardona won by disqualification. So Ace Austin, Super X Cup, him winning that did not hurt him. And I mean, at the end, everybody benefited from him. I could see probably Matt Fulton going at it with Matt Cardona, if, let's say, Cardona wants to go at it again with Ace Austin. So it's a pretty good way to start a new story there. But again, I just hope they don't keep him there long-term storyline, because I still think that man should have the Impact World title run.
But it's a nice surprise that buys into the anything can happen on an Impact pay-per-view, and even Matt Striker said Colt, Cabana and Zack Ryder changed the way wrestlers kind of sold themselves, which is an excellent point when you think about, with Colt starting the podcast and, of course, with Ryder through social media.
Yeah, but did he really need to say that? I mean, when I heard him say that, I'm like, okay, what's your point, dude? You talk about Colt Cabana. Colt Cabana does not work for Impact. Now you got Matt Cardona, and now you're letting everybody, this guy changed the thing. But I'm like, come on, dude. Like, get to the right thing and talk about the right stuff.
It's him being too clever for his own good, like I said.
Yeah. I see that. Yeah. Now, now that you remind me that, I remember that. I was like, okay, dude. So what's your point? So, but that match, I mean, for what it was worth, I give it a 3.5. It could have been a little longer, but I guess they were playing for time. So a lot of time it's because of time. So
I'll give it a 3 out of just to say that it was quite a nice surprise. And then we had the X Division match, the next Chris Bay, Manic versus Rohit Raju. The 3 competitors most closely associated with the X Division over the past 6 months, Manic, Chris Bay, and Rohit, battled in a triple threat match. The X Division title is prestigious in my eyes, and I would count, if someone says, like, what would you put it alongside? I'll say something like the Intercontinental Championship.
Yes, it is. Because remember, when Impact first started in 2002, you had the NWA World Belt and whatnot at that time because TNA was under the NWA umbrella. But who gave the best matches? The X Division. The X Division champion. AJ Styles made that belt, and the X Division title, I think, was propelled to a point where at that time where I think it had more credibility than the NWA World title because, TNA was part of NWA. And the X Division title, you could put it up there with the Intercontinental belt.
I think about that. I can still remember No Surrender, Samoa Joe, Christopher Daniels, AJ Styles.
That was the title. Best. That's the best. I think that was one of the best X Division matches I ever saw. I think wasn't that 2005?
Yeah, it was just sensational,
Yes, it was, and again, the X Division is the core of that promotion. You know what I'm saying? And and they've been building that around that for a long time, and that title is prestige. It's prestige. You can't say no, it's not. It's garbage. That title is prestige. That title has. If it wasn't for that title, TNA would not be around.
Completely agree. We get a lightning quick action dominating the start of the match, giving way to Malik looking for submission of both opponents. They managed to survive low, and he ripped off Malik's mask, thinking he exposed TJP under the hood, but coming face to face with a face-painted champion created just enough doubt to rob the Desi Hitman of satisfaction. Striker at points in commentary sounded like a voice box as well. I don't know if it was because he's not regulated in his breathing or the way he was talking, but at some points it was really, really weird for Striker. Much like problems with his microphone like I did, but it was a bit off-putting at points.
Yeah, I heard that. I was like, what the hell's going on?
Yeah, I thought, who's that? Is it Kane joined the commentary or something like that? What's Yeah. We get a series of creative near falls ensured, each man starving off defeat. Diving cutter on Manic, then double cutter off second rope on both men. Manic then fell into cover after kicking out. That was cool. He then delivered a crucifix bomb to Bay as Matt Striker insisted that champion was TJP. Tried by a knee to the champ for 2 as a frustrating setting. Bay brought Manic to the mat with a superplex. Raju followed with a double stomp to Bay and applied a crossface to the champ. Bay broke it up, but at a drive-by knee, Manic slid in, rolled Raju up, and scored the victory. What were your thoughts?
Okay. The match was great. I would not say nothing bad about the match, because the match was good. Chris Bay, he impresses me all the time I see him. Of course, TJP, we knew it was TJP under the hood. And Rohit was fabulous. Here's the problem I had with the match. Now, I remember the way this match became a 3-way. I think was one episode where Chris Bay pretty much made Rohit interfere in the match, and now he wins the match by disqualification. Now he gets a shot at Manic. Now, the whole point of that was, if they take the hood from TJP and prove that TJP is under the hood, then the title is, he loses the belt. Now, they took the hood off his head, and now you clearly see TJP. and I'm saying to myself, now this is stupid. Who came up with the idea to take his hood off? Because now you mess up the whole storyline since the beginning of December, that since when Rohi lost the belt, and now you're making it seem, oh, okay, it's just TJP. He just got, they're not gonna recognize because he got paid. Come on, give me a break, So I found that a little bit insulting to me, like insulting my intelligence. The match itself was great, but it kind of messes up the storyline. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you there, because it's a simple thing about mask onto a mask or something like that, especially if that's the story. But there was so much talent on the show, all three men put everything in. Bay, of course, is a future champ, maybe even when TJP is back motivated. But again, the finish kind of came out of nowhere. There was no kind of big crescendo building. It was just kind of like, oh, and now he's got the victory, job done.
Yeah. I don't know. They was again after we finish this. I'm gonna tell you my opinion on the whole show or what I saw as far. Like I said, TNA is still looking toward WWE. So a lot of this stuff is WWE style. Like you try to insult people's opinion, thinking. I don't know, but yeah, like I said, the match was pretty good. It was pretty good.
Yeah, I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5 with just the action that was on.
I think that match pretty much was stealing the show. And I'll tell you what. I'll tell you which match stole the show.
Well, what annoyed me, prediction-wise, I went for Bay, and triple threats always, a multi-man matches always favour the champion. I can't believe I got that wrong, so I'm 3 out of 4.
Yeah, I thought Chris Bay was going to win it too. Because I said, because the way Chris Bay wrestles, but... You're talking about TJP. This guy's a master in that ring. So, I just didn't like the part when they took his hood off.
No, this is the thing. Bay got 71% of the vote as well on the poll. So, a lot of people were favouring him. And then get a backstage segment with Eddie Edwards and Alyssa. Edwards doesn't want her involved in the match and promised that to the ring. She needs to go home, take care of her daughter, and promise him that she won't go out there. He does it for them. Our next match is the Knockouts title. Of course, Chaos reigns supreme early in Knockouts Championship match between the Virtuosa, Deonna Purrazzo, and Tab Outcry, leading to the banishment of Crazy Steve, Rosemary, Kimberly, and Susan from ringside. What are your thoughts on both of these women?
Which match was this again?
This is Purrazzo versus
Purrazzo. Let me tell you something about Deonna Purrazzo. That woman, when she wrestles, she's old school. She is old school because she works on one body part. We don't see that in wrestling anymore. You know what I'm saying? And Deonna Purrazzo, and I haven't seen her wrestle in so long. I mean, I haven't seen her wrestle since she was in Ring of Honor and she was feuding with Kelly Klein back. And the one thing I said in my podcast over the weekend, I said that WWE did not know how to utilize Purrazzo. Because Purrazzo is a well-skilled wrestler. She works on one body part, and that's what she was doing through the whole match against Valkyrie. Even though Valkyrie kid trying to do comebacks, whatever, but Purrazzo, that girl is just, she's dangerous in that ring. I love the match. And Deonna Purrazzo, I don't see anybody in that women's division that's gonna be able to beat her.
Well, she sees control early, working a left arm. She looks set up her Fujiwara. Valkyrie fought back low, but
that was oh my god! When she did the Fujiwara armbar, the first one, and then she grabbed the other arm, and then she locked it. I was like, oh my god! It looked like a Ring of Saturn, but that was worse than a Ring of Saturn.
Well, she transitioned into the Tequila Sunrise, a la Conan, looking to force a tap out.
That was I saw the shoulder blades connecting. I was like,
Well, Valkyrie again fought her way back into the match, but nursed her injured arm and the left knee. The result of Purrazzo's attack, Valkyrie escaped a package pile drive attempt for a short drop kick, but the champion kicked out at 2. The Werra Loca tied up her opponent's legs and controlled her into submission, but Purrazzo made it to the ropes, forcing a break. The champion transitioned from the head scissors into the armbar. She pulled the other arm into the hole, completing the Venus de Milo, forcing the submission to retain the title. Folks, well, this is no frills, no gimmicks, straight up wrestling match. It's a big statement by the owner with no help, making a tap out. What were your thoughts?
I mean, it was a great match. Like I said, that hold she put on her was devastating. I mean, I never seen anybody put a hold like that on anyone. I mean, I seen the last person they used to. I don't even think anybody does that move. I mean, the Ring of Saturn was applied differently. That was just brutal. I was like something I've never seen in my life. And I think Valkyrie's time and Impact could be ending soon because I know she signed a 2-year deal. I think in 2018 or 2019, one of those. When Morrison left, her contract ended. I think that same year, the ending of 2019. But she resigned. So I don't know where Valkyrie goes from there. Whether she stays with Impact. I don't want her in WWE because they're gonna kill her. But Deonna Purrazzo, she's my God, I didn't know how good she's been. I mean, I was so impressed. I like how WWE does not utilize a woman like that, and you let her go.
Well, this is the thing. I mean, it was a fantastic matchup as well. With you look at what perhaps they can do. I mean, you ask who's going to step up next as well. But I'm going to give that 3 3/4 out of 5 for that matchup.
Yeah, I'll give her a 4 though. I will give it a 4. I think it was a little better than that. I think they both. I think because the part that how the storyline was being told and how Deonna Purrazzo was working on body parts. I'm a big fan of that. So.
Well, predictions, I went Deonna, so it's 4 out of 5. Poll-wise, 69% went for Deonna as well. And Creeper Conyo said, I'm hoping Taya wins, honestly. Sorry, mate. We then get a backstage segment with Vasey Romero and Johnny Bravo. They discuss that Lodi was set up and is shooting on Johnny Bravo. Enough of that. And then we get Ethan Page.
I'm tired of that stupid story.
Yeah, no. Well, this is a story I'm interested in. Ethan Page versus the Karate Man.
Oh, my God.
Fantastic match. The story behind this is that Page has had a mental breakdown when he and Alexander couldn't regain the tag team titles after losing them to the Good Brothers. Suddenly we're introduced to Page's alter ego, the Karate Man, who he now wrestles. I mean, this was nothing, just Ethan Page doing a bunch of kicks and punches, like 1992 Mortal Kombat, including Karate Man ripping Page's heart out. They broke up the North for this. Was this terrible?
Terrible. It was beyond terrible because I'm saying to myself, why are they even doing this? The pay-per-view is going fine. And this is the part where I say Impact, they do stuff, and I say that they look toward WWE and they want to be comedic, and that's like the deadly sin right there. Because even Ethan Page said he saw this, and he said it on Twitter. He saw that, he said that was so horrible on Impact's part. He did not know that it was going to be that bad. He said it on a Twitter. And he said that he feels that Impact did this because he left the company because, his contract is over. So he's not resigning with Impact. So I felt that Impact probably was trying to get back at him. And if they are, the fact that Josh Alexander lost in the pre-show and now you doing this garbage, you are getting back at a guy who, gave his time to the company. He was tag team champion with Josh Alexander, and now you doing this?
Wasn't
this
there
was hard. That was horrible.
A case though of like it was so bad it was good. Like there was no intention of. Like, I'm watching it and I'm laughing at it because like the kicks, like I said, when he's laying down and just kicking and hitting himself.
It did not. Listen, I seen comedic stuff in my lifetime in wrestling, and this was not one of them. I was like, we could agree to disagree. You probably liked it. I didn't, because the minute I saw it, I said, okay, I want to see how they're gonna do this match. I didn't even know it was cinematic. And then when I see this, and then he ripped his heart out, and he's walking, I'm like, come on. And you could tell whoever did this cinematic stuff, that was horrible, because the part where they show his quad walking, you could tell he wasn't really walking, and everything in the background was.
Yeah, that's why I thought they did it.
I was like, what the?
What?
That was
but
garbage.
Like the quotes.
Yeah.
Impressive motherfucker. When do you hear that, right?
Yeah,
and the last one, not so hard to kill.
Yeah, so I didn't know what to make of it. I'm like, why are they doing it? Then the next day, Ethan Page goes and gets on Twitter and he talks about how they played them. He didn't know it was going to be this bad. So
it was terrible. But
my God, it was like.
Was there.
But this is what I'm saying. The pay-per-view was doing well, and then they added this. You could have put this in the pre-show. I was like, oh my God, I didn't know what to do.
I'm worried about asking you, what's your score out of 5 for this one?
A 0. That's what I give it, a 0. It wasn't entertaining at all.
I'm gonna give it a 3 because I thought it was so bad it was actually good.
Yeah, I mean, some people, someone I know I read it said it was genuine entertaining. I'm like, really? I'm like, okay. I'm not gonna argue with somebody. Some people like that. I don't know.
Well, prediction-wise, I went Karate Man as well, so I'm 5 for 6 at this moment in time. Karate Man got 70.
You actually?
Yeah, I went predictions. Yeah.
You actually said who was gonna win that?
I asked polls.
Man, oh my.
75% got Karate Man. But then again, this was maybe the break that the Impact team needed to set up the barbed wire massacre that was going to come up.
Yeah.
Backstage, Don Callis runs into Moose and talks about Moose needing to go back into football. Callis says he's a copy of the contract. He says Moose is a smart guy and sees the future. And Callis has him for 2 more years, looking to help a brother out. Moose tells Callis he plays to win. That's exactly what he's going to do tonight. Moose says after he wins, he's going to go after the Impact title, and then maybe he'll show up on AEW and take Kenny Omega's title, which Don Callis was not happy about.
I love that promo. I love that promo because then it sets up, it shows you that he was really going to be a team player. His thing was he wanted to get in that ring with Kenny Omega. So that was a good promo. I like that part.
Well, up next we had the barbed wire massacre. Eddie Edwards versus Sami Callihan. What were your thoughts on the barbed wire setup? And this is a match that you were looking forward to.
This was brutal, man. As far as the minute I saw that, I'm like, people are going to get hurt. And these guys, I've seen them wrestle before. They're going to take it to the next level. And I'm telling you, every time they did a move, I would jump. Oh, my God. Especially the part where, which one was it? I think, when Eddie Edwards went for a dive from the ring and he ate all boards with barbed wires. And then Callihan goes and does a Cactus Jack elbow drop around his back. I was like, oh, it was crazy. That match was crazy.
Well, that's what's kind of started us off in this match. There's not much you can do in an environment like this. But when, like you said, Eddie Edwards went flying into the barbed wire ball, you thought, fucking hell, this is not going to be great. Catch as catch can. It wasn't. But Callihan controlled, punishing his foe with any weapon he can get his hands on. Eddie was bleeding like anything. The N64 controller to the face wrapped in barbed wire. It's such a great, throwback. Just as Edwards fought his way into the match, he missed a spear and crashed into a steel cage wall. Then grinding the other into the wire at the same time was a really, really cool visual. And then Callihan brandishing a black baseball bat wrapped in barbed wire, while Edwards grabbed his trademark kendo stick. We see the slight show of respect there as they made sure they had the right weapons. He rocked Callihan, but Semi brought him down on a rope of barbed wire. Callihan set up a board of wire across 2 chairs and delivered a sickening pile driver. What a bump. I thought he might have broke his neck right there. But Edwards, defiant, kicked out and fired up. He delivered a Boston knee party, driving a wire wrap chair into Callihan. The draw kicked out at 1. Edwards took a page out of the book of his hero, Misawa, and delivered the Emerald Flosion on the aforementioned board for the win. What were your thoughts on this brutal war?
Listen, the fact that Eddie Edwards took a chair with barbed wire wrap, put it right next to Sami Callihan's head. He knees the chair, cracks Sami Callihan the head, and Sami Callihan won. I was like, this is crazy. And then the Misawa movie made, I was like, but I love Sami Callihan because when he gets in these types of matches, this is what you're going to get. The guy is crazy. You know what I'm saying? And then you got Eddie Edwards, which, I remember the Eddie Edwards that I used to watch in Ring of Honor. He changed so much as what he used to be there to now he's a hardcore wrestler. That match was awesome. I think this match stole the show.
Well, I actually Googled. We talk about. I Googled, watching it and going, Eddie Edwards. There used to be a guy called Eddie Edwards teaming up with David Richards, wasn't it? And I looked and I was like, oh shit, it's the same the amount of change that guy's gone through.
American
Wolves,
Wolf.
Yeah, Wolves, yeah. And they were
David Richards had to retire.
Yeah.
And I think he retired I think a couple of years ago, but he had turned already on Eddie Edwards. So he was going to start a feud with him and with Eddie Edwards, but then he got hurt and he never was able to return. He had to retire because he had knee issues, kneecap issues, and but yeah, that's the same Eddie Edwards guy that used to be the Impact champion a couple of years ago. Now he's just this hardcore wrestler,
It's crazy. But like I said, the match at that point in time was, I think, the best one on the card because, like I said, the kind of the hardcore fight. A lot of people go, "Well, hardcore matches," but when you think about everything they put on their line, it was brilliant. So yeah, I'm gonna give that a 4.25 out of 5.
I give it a 4.25 too. I mean, it was pretty good. It stole the show. I mean, I thought the 3-way exhibition match was winning like the match of the night, but this was sick. You know, especially when he hit it with the candlestick, and then he hit Sami Zayn with the candlestick, and the barbed wire got stuck in the neck. I was like, oh my god! I was like,
You could see at times with the barbed wire that you're thinking they're not playing here. Like they could seriously.
No, they did. I remember when Eddie Edwards busted him open the first time. Actually, he took a roll of barbed wires and put it like he was Jesus Christ. I was like, Jesus. I'm like, this is gonna be crazy. And it was funny because this was the match that had me going, oh my god, like this really was the match that got me interested during the night.
Yeah, I mean, this is one that made me kind of sit up and take notes as well. Prediction wise, I went Eddie, so 6 or 7. And poll wise, Eddie got 58%. We then see a promo video airing for Rebellion, which will be on April 24th live on pay-per-view. And then it's our main event. AEW World Champion Kenny Omega and the Good Brothers versus Chris Sabin, Moose, and the Impact World Champion Rich Swann. Don Callis handed the introductions for Omega, calling him God. Can you imagine an actual meeting between him and God himself, Kota Ibushi?
Listen, this whole thing that kind of surprised me when these guys came out was the Bullet Club thing, the outfits that they had. I know because that was the thing I was more interested in, how they was gonna come out. And I know Anderson had a hood with the Bullet Club logo on it, and then the back says "For Life." Gallows had the whole wrestling gear with the Bullet Club stuff, and I think Omega came out with a trick or treat Halloween version one. So my thing is New Japan going to be working with Impact? That's my question. I mean, that was like the thing that caught most of my when the entry was that all these guys wearing Bullet Club stuff. Meanwhile, again, you got Tama Tonga in Japan talking about they're not Bullet Club. So I tell you, this is a bigger story. This is going to be a bigger storyline that everybody is going to expect. Remember what Tony Khan said? Let's say about before we spoke in December. He said the paradise, the balance of wrestling is changing, and this is it. This is it.
Well, let's get on to this main event that everybody was excited to see. We see early wrestling from Sabin and Anderson gave way to a hostile fight between Moose and Doc Gallows before the action broke down. In the midst of it all, Omega grabbed hold of Swann and tagged in Anderson. Sabin and a quick near fall with a standing moonsault by Moose. Standing moonsault by Moose. Like he talked about, every time I see Moose, I get more and more impressed.
Yeah, 6'6", doing a moonsault, standing moonsault. Where you ever saw that?
Well, the action broke down once more, and this time the babyfaces rolled with Sabin and Swann delivering an assisted tornado DDT to Omega and diving over the ropes to wipe out the opposition. Gallows worked over Swann and Omega added the famouser. The Impact World Champ tagged in Moose and the former St. Louis Ram bowled over the competition. With Sabin, the legal man, the babyfaces again found themselves on the defensive. Omega dropped him with a set-up powerbomb for 2. Moose with a fly on Omega off the top rope. Again, how can a guy his size actually do it? Sabin downed Omega and scored a red-hot near fall. Anthony Gallows flattened the former TNA and X Division champ and scored a 2 count of their own. Swann entered the match and exchanged blows with Omega. The AEW champion got the best of it, delivering a snapdragon suplex and a underhook pile driver. Moose hoisted Omega on his shoulders, but the cleaner slithered out and sent the big man into Swann, clutching him onto the top rope. Swann and Moose enemies combined for a modified Doomsday Device that scored a 2. Swann delivered a 450 splash moments later for another dramatic near fall as Omega reeled. A missed Phoenix splash gave way to the Good Brothers, dropping Swann with a magic killer and Moose making a last minute save. Omega sent Moose to the floor, delivered a V-trigger and finished him with a one-winged angel for the win. What were your thoughts on this main event?
This match got good, real good, because it started a little slow in the beginning, but it got good. Once Moose went in there with Omega, everything got interesting. Again, this was Moose coming out party to show the world, look, I may be in Impact and maybe most of you guys don't hardly see me, but this is my coming out party. And he did so well with Omega. Again, this is what I'm saying. And Rich Swann got pinned in this match, where I see maybe if Impact was smart, in AEW, well, AEW don't gotta do anything. Impact was smart. They would have Moose beat Rich Swann for that belt and have Moose wrestle Kenny Omega, champion versus champion. But this whole match, toward the end, it got so good. I mean, because there were so many close pinfalls. I mean, there was at one point you saw Moose almost pin Omega, and he nearly pinned him by a half an inch. Same thing with Rich Swann. So there was a couple of pins there that were very, very close, and it was very entertaining. So the main event pretty much delivered.
There's a couple of things. I think the pinfall on Rich Swann maybe shows. I mean, I'm hoping that Rich Swann or whoever like I said, the champion is, faces Omega down the line. Would they give it that way? If it was going to happen, maybe not. And also, Moose being there actually helped because it matched the three opponents up. Because then you had a big man, with obviously Gallows with Moose, and I think Moose might have been one of the most things I was impressed with in that matchup.
He was the MVP of the match, no doubt. I mean, now I could tell you this: I'm looking at a vision here also where maybe because Rich Swann got pinned by Omega, you could have Omega defeat Swann in a one-on-one match, and then have Omega defend the Impact title and the AEW title, and then Moose puts the TNA belt on the line, even though it's not, and then it becomes like a collection for Omega. I'm telling you, this whole thing with Omega is a belt collection, and this is all a shift. They are pretty much monopolizing the wrestling. Remember, Kyle said, he's the invisible hand. They're just moving parts. That's what they're doing.
And this was mentioned the other day as well, because someone said, I'm going to beat Omega, you're no longer going to be a collector. So they are kind of building towards that. The big thing is, I mean, the match itself was, like I said, really, really good. I'm going to give that 4.5 out of 5.
I'll give it a 4.75. Almost a 5. Yeah, because it was that good.
But does losing make Impact Wrestling look weak?
No, because at the end, again, like I said before, it all comes down, everybody wins. Yes, because if you think about it, Good Brothers are part of Impact, so they didn't get pinned. They're in the winning side. Though Omega is part of AEW, but if you think about it, everybody in there was mostly Impact guys. So Impact doesn't lose credibility at all, because at the end of the day, then you're making it more interesting, because now everybody's going to be like, well, Omega just pinned Swann for, in a 6-man tag, you know what I'm saying? And like I said, this was Moose coming out party, and then what happened afterward, I don't know if you got to see the post-match interview, but Moose ended up attacking Rich Swann after the event was over. So there is going to be some type of minor title match where it's going to be Moose versus Swann for the Impact title. Again, I think everybody benefits from this, because the match was that good that whoever saw it, whether you was an AEW fan or an Impact fan, now you're going to go on Tuesday to find out what's going on. Even if you wasn't watching it before, but you're going to go back and see. You know what I'm saying?
I completely agree with you. Predictions I went for Elite, so my final score was 7 out of 8 for poll-wise. Omega got 81%, which is not really much surprise. So our match of the night is the main event. Who's your person of the night? I think I know who I'm going for now.
The MVP of the night? That's Moose. Moose was the MVP of the night. He, again, from where I first saw him to where he's at now, and it shows you that he could go toe-to-toe with Omega. If they were smart, they'll make that match. So Moose, to me, was the wrestler of the night.
Yeah, I was really, really pleased the fact that Moose as a replacement actually shone kind of brightest. It makes me think that might have been some of the idea all along. What is going to be your score out of 10 for this pay-per-view?
I give it a 7, maybe a 7.5. I mean, they killed it with this damn Karate Man thing. So it could have went to 8.5 to 9 to me, even though the first match wasn't the greatest, but it was a start. That's the way you want to start slow. We could start slow, and after that they upped the antes with the old school match and the 3-way X Division, the women's title match. It was going fine until that Karate Man messed it up. So But overall, I'll give it seven. I'll give it a 7.5. 7.5 stars.
But 8.5 because I loved crime. No, I'm just.
You like Karate Man. I understand.
I think everything overall, like I said, what I liked about it was it kind of gave you a little bit of taste of everything. It said, right, you've never seen Impact Wrestling before. You're watching a pay-per-view for the first time. This is what we do. We care about women. We care about the women's division. We care about the women's tag team division. We care about intergender. Yes, that still happens. You want a bit of hardcore? Here you go. You know, oh, you want the X division, what we're known for? This is the match. The women, there you go. And then you had that main event that added the intrigue. And I think overall, it might not be the best Impact show, but I think it ticked all the boxes, so to speak.
Yeah, and if you think about it, let's say you invited someone to watch the show, and he's an AEW guy, right? And, or someone who seen Kenny Omega in Japan but doesn't follow AEW. He sees Omega there, but they're going to be like, wait a minute, I thought Omega was AEW, and he's in with the world title. They'll be like, no, but Impact and AEW are working together. Now, if you're a true wrestling fan, you'll be like, wow, that's interesting. You're going to watch it. You're going to watch both shows because now you want to see what's going on, So that's what makes the wrestling so good because, and I feel, and I'm going to say this to finish it up, I think that I feel from here to August, there's going to be, I see Omega in other promotion. I see him probably going against Nick Aldis for the NWA title. I see him going against Joseph Fatu for the MLW title. He might, and the one I think is going to stop him is Ibushi because Ibushi is now the double champion, and I think they're thinking about Ibushi wants to unify the belts to have just one belt. So I'm not a fan of that because then the Intercontinental belt, you never see it again. But I think that's gonna. I see by the summertime, wrestling is gonna be so hot right now. That you're gonna want to watch every promotion.
Well, this is the thing, it's just checking out on Impact Wrestling as pay-per-view. Has it been enjoyable? Yes, it has. But even if it hasn't, like you said, the MLW, you've got NXT UK, you've got NXT AEW, even outside of the kind of, the WWE bubble, we talk about New Japan and other places like that as well. It's a weirdly enough, it might be a horrible time to live in the world, but it's a great time to be a wrestling fan as we come along to 2021. The next time are you going to come back for Beach Blast, you reckon, at the start of February?
Oh, yes. Oh, you definitely. I'll come for that. Definitely. I won't because, I think, when is it? February 3rd, I think it is.
Yeah.
But I'll come. I'll come by, hang out with you again, cross the pond, New York City style, and London. So
New York and London. WNR podcast. That's what it's all about. Like I said, that is it. Don't forget, across all social media, Twitter at the WNR podcast. I am JR. Our follower of the week is Hawkeye Warrior. Do you want to plug all your stuff at the moment, mate?
Yes. I just have started my own website. It's called the tcwr.veryimpressive.com. That is my website. You could get there my merchandise for my Chokeslam Wrestling Report. You could get the T-shirt. You could get the baseball cap. Also in there, you could click on the big giant logo, the Chokeslam Wrestling Report. You can hear my audio podcast plus my YouTube channel, all in one website. That's tcwr.veryimpressive.com. Again, that's tcwr.veryimpressive.com.
And like I said, check out his merchandise. I might have to have a word with you about how you've managed to sort it out. But like I said, when it comes to the Ultimate One being on here, or the Chokeslam Report as it is, expect the best, whether it will be for the kind of the graphics that they've got, or like I said, the website that they use. And it will be on
you got in the audio podcast. You could find me in Spotify, Breaker, Apple, Google, any audio podcast you guys listen to your favorite show. You can find me there. The Chokeslam Wrestling Report.
And like I said, if you're doing it, you've listened to the WNR and you're going, oh, I wonder about this fella. The thing is, it wouldn't be on the WNR if it wasn't any good. And I think that's the whole point.
That is true. That is true. Just if your stuff sucks, you're not gonna be in no Apple, none of that shit.
So that's the thing. And of course, the WNR on Facebook, the WNR podcast, also on Instagram. Send us an email at WNRpodcast@gmail.com. We're on YouTube, all the latest clips and podcasts at the same time on YouTube as you do SoundCloud on your phone, and also Stitcher and iTunes, where you can download, subscribe, rate, and review there. So that is it. My next episode is going to be the Luke Harper tribute with NXT UK and WCW Sin 2001. But being James Rowlands, and I had the pleasure to be joined by the Ultimate One. Thank you again for joining.
No problem. Always love over here from New York City. So I'll definitely be back in February 3rd, I think it is. I don't remember.
I cannot wait, or we as a collective unit as well cannot wait for you to come back. But that is it for today. Thanks for listening, everybody, and bye.
Bye.